All right, everybody. All right. So, I know I'm late. This does not count towards the streak. This does not count towards the streak. All right? This does not count towards the streak. It doesn't, because this is not a normally scheduled chapter, right? This is outside the usual schedule. I had to get my affairs in order. Mostly I was on Twitter. So what happened is I was eating, and first let's get the stream likes up to 100. I was eating, and I just took way longer than two things. So I was eating, and then also I was like, I should do laundry right now, because I want to... Do you guys care about this? I want to do the laundry so that, like, I should do it now before stream, and then that way it'll just be done by the time stream is over. So it was a few things. So I was that, and I was eating. I was like, okay, let me just take my time. I don't want to rush to eat too fast, because then I wouldn't feel good during the stream, you know? So I took my time. I was on Twitter at the same time. I was handling a lot of things, and I had to do the laundry. Let's get the stream likes up to 200. This chapter was fucking awesome. Let me tell you guys something else, too. So right now, I feel really good. Not in like the chapter was really good sort of way, because the chapter was really good, but streaming right now in the middle of the day, I feel like I have so much more energy right now. I didn't realize this because I haven't streamed... Fuck, there's a fucking car going off right now. I haven't streamed in the middle of the day in so long. It's very rare that we do this, right? But I realized, like, yeah, streaming as the last thing in my day usually. Well, Thursdays is complicated, but, like, because I do other stuff after that, too. But streaming later in the evening, I think I usually have less energy than I would like. I still think the streams are great, obviously, but right now, I feel like, I don't know, just very, very... I have coffee right here. Oh, you guys are going to love this. Well, actually, you guys probably won't care, but it's my stream, so I'm going to tell you anyway. This mug is a magical mug, all right? Because what's the worst part about coffee? Anybody? Who knows what the worst part about coffee is? The worst part about I look sleepy? Well, that's probably because, like, I don't know. I got to sleep at, like, I was rolling around in bed and stuff like that. Like, I probably have bed head and everything. But I feel rested. That's more important. I slept until, like, 11-something this morning. Yeah. So, anyway, I feel very refreshed. I have coffee. The worst part about coffee is that it eventually gets cold. This is a next mug. The next mug never gets cold, because if I turn this stuff on, then, like, it will remain heated for some period of time. Basically till the battery runs out. So not never, never's a strong word, but yeah, this is basically going to make this stream all the more enjoyable for me, because in 30 minutes, once this coffee starts getting, like, too cold, it won't be cold for long, because the next mug will heat it right back up. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. Linscuff, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 5 months, man. For those of you who don't know, Pirate King tier members, you get access to a 1 hour plus long podcast every month, plus obviously the weekly podcasts that are shorter that I put out, but the 1 hour plus long podcast where you submit your questions and I answer them very, very in depth. For those of you who don't know, the submission form is up right now. So if you join Pirate King tier, you can submit things that you want me to talk about, One Piece related, not One Piece related. Lots of people like doing not One Piece related stuff for those, so whatever floats your boat, I guess. But yeah, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member. The podcast will come out at the start of next week. So you're asking, finally able to catch a stream for the first time since the Sunday stream days. Yeah, this is probably good. Some people who normally can't tune into streams are probably going to be able to join in on this one. At least something good came out of this late chapter. Too bad I'm going to have to go to bed right after I post this. Oh shit, are you overseas? Maybe you're overseas. Gonza says, who the fuck drinks a cup of coffee for 30 minutes? Yeah, maybe that's a me thing. And maybe that's why I really wanted the next mug. Because I like drinking coffee very slowly. I don't know. Like, I don't want it to run out. I don't know. So, because of that, I think after a little bit, I just got really frustrated with the fact that coffee slowly gets cold. Because, like iced coffee is cool, but I have to choose to want to drink iced coffee. You know, that's got to be my initial choice. It can't just be normal coffee that slowly gets lukewarm. That's not the same thing. So, yeah, this was very important for me. Yeah, my sister actually got me this as a birthday gift. Because, I was kind of posting in the family group chat, like, yeah, just making it very clear what I would really, really like. I didn't expect anyone to buy it because it was kind of pricey, but she was very, very nice. She bought the next mug and had it delivered. Did not expect that at all. Behenort, thank you for also being a Pirate King tier member for 7 months. Pirate King tier member for 7 months, sorry. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the podcast that's coming out. Hope you got your question in. Based on portrayal in recent chapters, I think Saturn and Kizaru are supposed to be close in strength, but so far Saturn lacks feats. Yeah, I would agree. I feel like the two ways that you could look at it is kind of Saturn seems to Saturn is the more he seems limited in his offensive output. Let's say that, right? The most interesting thing that he can do is his eye attack from what we've seen, and that did make Luffy made Luffy cough up blood from what I can recall. So there's that, but at the same time, it doesn't seem quite as lethal or versatile in terms of what he can do as Kizaru. Flip side is he gets the regeneration, the durability, probably a bit more physically capable in that sense. So I think that maybe not physically Kizaru's got his kicks and all that shit. So it's hard to say. I feel like they're supposed to be. I would agree that they're supposed to be close in strength. Anyway, I'm most excited to see more of Gorosei as a crew. Yeah, this is essentially going to be 5 Admiral levels, 6 if you count Kizaru, 6 Admiral. I don't know if Kizaru's going to join back in the fight or if he's got his own situation that's going to be going on. But, yeah, 6 Admiral level characters just on the island at the same time. What Luffy is doing this chapter, we're going to delve into it as we go, but what Luffy is doing in this chapter is insane. There is nothing that any character has done in the story so far that is comparable to what Luffy did this chapter. We're going to delve into it a little bit more. I'm not saying Luffy is the strongest character in One Piece history. I'm just saying in terms of what has been displayed feats. There's nothing any character has done that is even close to what Luffy is doing right now. Like, put it this way. Big Mom went high diff with Kid and Law for 15 chapters or something like that. Ultimately, she didn't lose to them. It was the TNT. But, Big Mom was, fucking getting fucked up by them for, a good run of chapters. A fucking Luffy's a Yonko, Big Mom's a Yonko. It's Big Mom, she was struggling against Kid and Law. I don't think anybody thinks that Kid and Law are, maybe some people think Law is, on the verge of Admiral level, but if you said before this chapter, if I did a community-wide poll, guarantee most people had Kid and Law below Admirals, right? I don't think anybody says, Kid and Law are stronger than Kizaru, at least before this chapter. I think opinions might change after this chapter, but that's just because, that's just because people might be hesitant to say Luffy's all that. People might be trying to downplay Luffy to make that claim, if that makes sense. But point being, Kid and Law clearly below Admiral level. At least everybody had that opinion prior to this chapter, right? People might upscale them now just because whatever, but prior to this chapter, I think everybody would logically have agreed that they're not Admiral level. And Big Mom was struggling for many, many, many chapters, right? Big Mom and Kaido shown to be about equal strength, right? Big Mom struggling against Kid and Law for many, many chapters. Luffy this chapter manhandled 2 characters that are clearly stronger than Kid and Law. Low diff. He had 0 difficulties this chapter. There's no difficulty that Luffy had whatsoever dealing with Saturn and Kizaru, 2 Admiral level characters seemingly at the same exact time. The gap between what Luffy is doing right now and let's say Big Mom at Onigashima or something like that, it's heaven and earth. It's 2 totally different, what the fuck would Luffy do to Big Mom right now? What the fuck would Luffy do to Kaido if he's fighting like this? This is insane. The Vodka Haze, thanks a lot. Devon is pronounced Devon, not Devon. I don't think she's important enough for me to care about her pronunciation. Enough. Yeah, dude, the tide turned really fast. I think it's cool that we got to see Luffy flex like that, and then Oda up the stakes really hard. This was actually a fucking masterclass of I almost want to save it for a video, but this is one of the things that Oda does best. I might, if I do it as a video, it'll come out in 2 weeks, but this is one of the things Oda does best, which is just his ability to, outside the Wano arc, his ability to keep upping the stakes and tension over the course of an arc's finale, in just having things keep going from bad to worse and bad to worse, and just creating sort of snowball effect. Kino the Farce says, I'm on coffee number 5, Morj. I wish I could get my caffeine tolerance back up. It's gone down too low. I should just drink more coffee. But I used to be able to have 2-3 cups a day. Now I think I'm down to 1. Otherwise I'll stay up. So this is my 1. Nervain V-Maker, thanks for the 5. Final arc matchups. Luffy low diffs the 5 Gorosei. Zoro extreme diffs Lucci. Oda low diffs Sanji. Jinbei mid diffs Foxes. That's funny. They sponsoring me? No. I swear they're not sponsoring me. I just like the next mug. The Outback Pandas, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 12 months. Sabo took on the... Come on, man. Sabo took on the Gorosei and Imu while protecting Cobra. Luffy's just catching up to his big bro... Okay, you're joking. I get it. Luffy's just catching up to his big bro Flame Emperor. Yeah, that's fair. Blur says hybrid Kaido would wash Big Mom. Based on what? What the fuck are you talking about? Kaido and Big Mom were essentially shown to be equals. I think we can all intuitively understand that Kaido's supposed to be the stronger of the two, but like they had a 2-3 day fight going all out. It's pretty much established that we're supposed to view them as equals. You can say Kaido wasn't in hybrid form, but Big Mom wasn't using her Devil Fruit from what we saw either. She was just going straight sword to club. So, and if we're being honest, Big Mom's Devil Fruit is significantly more versatile than Kaido's Devil Fruit. Like, Kaido wasn't going hybrid form, but Big Mom, we know that she's got her own power-up form where she eats her own souls, and then she goes into, like, giant mode or whatever, right? So, like, if you're trying to spin it as Kaido's supposed to be way stronger than Big Mom, I just think that's impossible to argue based on the fact that they fucking fought for, like, multiple days, and nobody got the better of the other. Both of them were holding back some abilities, yes, but you could make the argument that Big Mom was holding back more abilities because I view Kaido more as a physical fighter. Like, he should be better in straight close quarter combats than Big Mom. Big Mom's still very good there, but Big Mom has a much more versatile and powerful Devil Fruit, in my opinion, than Kaido. Or at least they're close in that regard. Obviously, Kaido's stronger than Big Mom. Like I think that's obvious, but they scale to roughly each other. The Outback Pandas, no, we covered this. Hold on, let me catch members. Let me make sure I'm not missing any members. Sheriff Lawfeed with an outside-the-box question, or at least outside the usual topic. Any thought, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 17 months, man. Also, thoughts on Mihawk SBS. I think it's interesting that Oda said that Mihawk was betrayed by the Marines in some way. Hope you're well. I am well. I'm feeling really good right now. Honestly, it's making me think about streaming during the day in the future, but I feel like that would throw off a lot of people's schedules, so let's see. Maybe I'll do a poll sometime down the line, but I don't want to throw off what people are used to. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200. So with Mihawk, for those of you who don't know, SBS just recently released, and one of the things that was stated was that Mihawk, he was betrayed in some way by the Marines at some point in time, which is why he hates the Marines, and that seems to have been the setup for his Marine Hunter moniker. So he was betrayed by the Marines. I really don't fucking know what that means, because it's like, if he's a pirate, then you can't really be betrayed by Marines because you're a fucking pirate, right? Like, you're supposed to be hunted by the Marines. Like, unless you're a Shichibukai, in which case you've got a deal or alliance, like you've signed a contract, shaken hands with them, then you can be betrayed. But if you're a pirate, you can't be betrayed, right? So maybe this is before Mihawk became a pirate. But what would that mean? Was this what spurred him on the path of becoming a pirate? Maybe he wasn't a pirate. Maybe he was just a swordsman that was training growing up, right? And then at some point, just corrupt Marines or something like that did something, maybe for his town, whatever. And then that made him hate Marines and start hunting Marines, which turned him into a pirate. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm not getting too excited about it just because I think there's a solid possibility that we don't ever actually delve into it in the real story. Because, like, it's just, you know, it's something that we've kind of gotten used to. Oda will not include certain backstories, like, or they'll just be thrown into SBSs, like let's say Kid. Like, Kid in the scope of One Piece is he was kind of turning into a main character. He was very prominent, took up a lot of screen time, etc., especially in comparison to someone like Mihawk. And ultimately, it's kind of like, yeah, it's backstory. Who cares about it? It's just thrown in an SBS. So I don't know if I'm that excited about the Mihawk stuff. I think it's interesting. I would love for Oda to elaborate, and maybe we're set for a cool Mihawk backstory, maybe coming up on his duel with Zoro or something like that. But I'm just going to keep my hopes low. I would love a Mihawk backstory, but I'm going to keep my hopes low for that. Because, you know, we've been down this road a few times before. Ponty, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Yo, Morj, do you think the world government has a big goal they're working towards, or do they just want to keep the same status quo that they had for 800 years? I think that they would want to keep the same status quo. I think the goal that they would be working towards would be the next great cleansing, I think. I think a big reset might be the next thing that they're heading towards. So that could be their big goal, but it would be to get things back to a more manageable state. Because last we saw the Gorosei talking, not last, but, you know, around the first... Chapter 800 and 907, right? We saw the Gorosei talking, and 907, 908? One of those two chapters. 908, maybe? And whatever. Gorosei were talking, and they were talking about how, like, the pirate world is starting to get out of hand. Like, maybe it's about time to wipe the board, you know? Flip says hybrid Kaido high divs Big Mom, regular Kaido extremes her. No, Kaido could not extreme div Big Mom without a devil fruit. Because we already saw Kaido, like already what we got of Kaido versus Big Mom, right? The fight that they were having, that was already high diff, and neither of them were using their devil fruit, right? So it's already established like if Big Mom started using her devil fruit, if she went giant form like she did against Kid and Law, she started pulling out Prometheus, what's the new one's name? What's the new Thundercloud's name? I forget. Prometheus, the misery stuff, like all of the things that she can do. There's no reason to think that Kaido would still beat her in just base form. That's what is that based off of? Based off of whatever. Oscar Cruz, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 17 months. No way all elders go down this arc, right? I can only imagine we have 10 or so chapters left of this arc. This is insane. Maybe this is just to get us a glimpse of what the elders can do, and I still think Saturn is defeated this arc. So maybe it's just a glimpse, but it's really fucking hard to say. All-powerful God Animal, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Although if I do entertain the thought, like maybe all 5 elders losing, I don't know. I don't think all 5 elders would lose here. I think that would be a little disappointing almost. Because I prefer when Oda kind of hypes up characters in earlier arcs and then we get to see them have their big battles in later arcs. So it would kind of be like, this is the first arc in the first place that we're even finding out the Gorosei were strong. Gorosei were not on most people's top 30 lists prior to Egghead Island. We didn't know that they were strong. We thought they could be, but we didn't know, right? So it would be kind of disappointing to me if, like, in the same arc that it's being revealed, like, oh, these guys are really a big deal and they're potentially endgame threats, then they're all being defeated in that same arc. I don't know about that. All-powerful God NL, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Hey, Morj, no question this time. Just hope you've been good. Thank you, man. I have been good. Yeah, it's been a good week overall. Hera, yes. Just Jetty says, yeah, but I think Kaido's hybrid is stronger than whatever Big Mom can do with her devil fruit. Yeah, no, I think that Kaido going all out is stronger than Big Mom for sure. Like, I have Kaido above Big Mom. What I was responding to is, like, base Kaido versus Big Mom going all out. Like, base Kaido can't beat Big Mom going all out. That makes no sense because, like, he had several days to do it against base Big Mom, who was also not shown using her devil fruit. Like, no devil fruit Kaido, no devil fruit Big Mom. It was shown that they're basically equal and went back and forth for, like, several days before calling it quits, right? So, to then say that, like, base Kaido could have beaten Big Mom if she's going all out with everything, it's like, but he wasn't even shown to be capable of beating base Big Mom in his base form, Alright, let me catch up on supers. One sec. Alright, I'm gonna have to pull up the other page. Hold on. Rodrigo Liaga, thanks. Welcome to the Supernova. Thank you for joining. Sorry if I missed that earlier. Let me pull up supers. But yeah, like, I think no matter how you spin it, this chapter is the best. Like, is there any feat that any character has done in the story that's comparable to Luffy handling 2 admirals at the same time? Because, like, really think about that. Most people would have told you that, like, I just remember, like, most people before this were saying, like I can't imagine people saying that Kaido could low diff 2 admirals at the same time. I've never heard anybody argue that. I don't know anybody that I've seen argue that Shanks could low diff 2 admirals at the same time. What Luffy did this chapter, like, without debate, is essentially handling 2 admiral level characters at the same time with minimum difficulty, right? There's no way to argue that, to the point that they had to call in 4 more admiral level characters to help deal with it, right? There's no way to downplay that. Yusuf says Shanks one-shotting Kid. I would say one-shotting Kid and Killer at the same time. It's interesting, yes, because it's the most easily that we've ever seen a character take out other characters that are supposed to be, like, Kid is supposed to be probably close to Admiral strength or something like that. Like, it's the easiest that we've ever seen one top tier dispose of another character that's supposed to be close to the top or something, right? But this is Luffy doing it to two characters. Granted, he didn't knock them out like Shanks did, but I still think that like both Saturn and Kizaru are clearly stronger than Kid. I think both of them would take. I think Kizaru would take Kid and Killer at the same time. I don't know. I agree that like Luffy hasn't put them down permanently. He hasn't put them down, so maybe we're getting a little ahead. But like it's yeah, he hasn't put either of them down. But I'm saying all I said is that one character with minimum difficulty handling two admiral level characters. Like no matter how you spin it, Luffy clearly looked better than like he clearly was in control of the fight this chapter. He clearly handled like he literally. Like, I'm not, there's no exaggeration that I'm saying at all here. It's literally Luffy spitting Kizaru and Saturn around like fucking pancakes in the tips of his fingers, toying with them, right? There's no other description for what he did to them this chapter than toying with them. We've never seen one character toy with two Admiral level characters at the same time, to the point that they need to call in 4 other Admiral level characters, right? This is unheard of. This is not like, this is beyond Whitebeard at Marineford. This is beyond Shanks one-shotting Kid and Killer. I'm not saying Luffy is above, like I'm not saying he's like, I'm just saying in terms of feats, right? Like just in terms of what was done. Shanks hasn't done anything that's equal to this. Shanks maybe Shanks could handle them just as easily as Luffy. I don't know, but I'm just saying like in terms of established feats, you know, this is pretty much the highest it gets. I could see Shanks one-shotting Kid maybe as like the closest. Kyokami says, didn't realize Morj was a Big Mom fan. I'm not really a Big Mom fan. It's just that I think people really make up a lot of bullshit for Kaido to exaggerate how strong he is, when it's like, no, we know how strong he is, which is basically a little bit stronger than Big Mom, because that was established very, very, very firmly. Like, there's no reason for Oda to write a fight that's happening between the two characters that takes place over several days and ends in a draw, unless it's to fucking establish that, yeah, these two are roughly the same, right? Would Kaido probably win in the end? Yeah. I still have Kaido above Big Mom, but it's like, I see tier lists where it's like Kaido and then like 8 spots down it's like Big Mom. It's like, what the fuck are you reading? Like, where you get, like, people just make up a lot of stuff about Kaido. Again, like the island carrying stuff and stuff like that. I've seen people say stuff like, yeah, Kaido like 1v5'd all supernovas on the rooftop. It came out like, okay. It's like, dude, he had another Yonko that's exactly, like, almost exactly as strong as he is on the same rooftop. It was a 2v, like, it's just weird Big Mom erasure just to gas up Kaido that I see. It's like, no, however strong Big Mom is, that's roughly as strong as Kaido is. That's basically what we know. That's what it's the weirdest thing. I think it's because people hate Big Mom so much, and then they gassed up Kaido so much that they just, like, don't like comparing Kaido to Big Mom, when the story makes it very clear that it's just like, no, they're basically the same. It's maybe the gap is probably something like a Kaino Aokiji, something like that. Yeah, see, like, Yusuf says Kaido is way stronger than Big Mom. It's about what's shown. Yeah, what's shown is that they're fucking equals, almost. They're, like, they fought for 3 days. They're fucking... What the fuck is the... That's so fucking bizarre. I don't even know what to say. It's just like, what's even the response to that? Because it's just like, it means that, like, nothing that happens, there's nothing that Oda could do in the story. Like, he can literally have Big Mom fight Kaido to a draw, and then people will still be like, well, no, Kaido's just way stronger. It's like, but we already saw that that's not the case. I don't get it. Francisco Mas, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 17 months. I think Luffy will get defeated by the 5 Elders, but he'll manage to hold them off enough so Vegapunk's video gets released in the world. So not really a defeat, but they need to hype the Gorosei. I do like the 10-minute time limit, right? I do like the 10-minute time limit. It's like, I always like when One Piece arcs end with a time limit of sorts. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. I like when One Piece arcs end with time limits. It does seem hard to imagine all Gorosei being defeated here. But then on the flip side, it's like, okay, well, if Luffy gets defeated here, I even saw some people on Twitter talking about, like, well, maybe it leads to an arc where the Straw Hats, like, like, I'll have to go save Luffy. And I'm like, but then what about Elbaf? And, like, how does that affect the rest of the story? So I don't want... It's 2 things. I don't want Luffy to be defeated and captured here. I mean, it would be fucking cool. I don't fucking know. I think that's what's really cool. I've been saying this arc is really unpredictable for some time now, and this is just the prime example of that. I mean, just a little bit ago, I was thinking we're close to wrapping up. Thomas Davis, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. I think this is also the biggest gap we've ever seen between Luffy and Zoro. It's a magnitude of difference between them at this point. Yeah, I mean, for some period of time, like, look, I just call it like I see it. Like, there was a period of time that, I mean, I guess everybody likes to say that, but there was a period of time towards the beginning of Egghead where I would have said, like, yeah, if Zoro's in Ashura, maybe he's kind of close to Luffy, because we saw Zoro in Ashura versus Kaido. Like, that was just for one moment when Zoro had, like, every bone in his, like, this was Zoro at 1% health, used Ashura only for one attack against Kaido, permanently scarred him forever. This was before Zoro even mastered Advanced Conqueror's Haki, so I was kind of the opinion of, like, yeah, maybe in Ashura mode, Zoro's, like, comparable to Luffy or something like that. I don't know. That's what I thought towards the beginning. Now it's just, like, this is, I don't even know what you call it, because it's, like, a gap seems almost, like, insulting to Luffy. Like, there's just no, until Zoro shows something new, there's just nothing to even, like, you could have, like, 6 Zoro, based on what we've seen, like, I don't even know. Like, Luffy just did this to, he low diff handled 2 admirals at the same time, right? Zoro has been in the, as far as we know, in the span of time that it took for, like, not just this fight, but, like, Luffy to eat, recover, fight Kizaru the first time, like, this entire time, Zoro's been fighting Lucci. He's been fighting fucking Lucci. Like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say, man. I'll stop, but it's just, like, I can't, like, look, I've made the case for Zoro in many times before. Like, you guys have watched my streams long enough. Like, I've made the case as many times as I can. Like, Zoro versus Law, I've made that argument many a time. I've hyped up Zoro and the Kaido instance, which I know a lot of people try and downplay. But unless Zoro breaks out something, like, I don't even, like, there's, okay, like, a couple chapters ago, I used to be saying, like, unless. I was like, unless Zoro just suddenly, like, busts out, like, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Zero diffs Lucci, then moves on, busts out Ashura, can take on Kizaru or something like that, then we can start having Luffy conversations again. But right now it just feels almost like, if I'm being honest, it feels, as much as I would like to talk up Zoro here, it feels almost disrespectful to even discuss Luffy and Zoro in the same name. Let's see what happens. But I'm just not going to talk about it till we get something on that end, because it's just absurd right now, you know? There's just nothing to talk up, you know? Like, maybe, let's see if he can pull out some new stuff, or maybe if he can do something with Ashura, maybe he comes in and helps. I would love to see him and Sanji be able to come help Luffy here. But until that happens, it just feels disrespectful to whatever the fuck Luffy's doing right now. Joseph eBay says, how do I get my comment read? You just did, man. All right, let me go through the supers. I'm sorry, guys. It's just a lot of stuff at the moment. All right, let me go through the supers. Let's go. All right. We covered Devon, Stormfox, Nervian V-Maker, Bunfagum, thank you. Drum, guess who's at the Labostratum? Woronoa. It would be dope to see Zoro against some Gorosei. I still kind of am biased towards wanting to see Zoro and Sanji do stuff against Kizaru, just because I've had more anticipation for that. You know what I mean? Like, let me put it this way. I personally assume, or I believe, that the Gorosei are set for later down the line, right? Like, later threats in the story. So I almost don't want to see the Straw Hats handling them right now and, like, getting good feats against them right now. I want to feel, like, I would like to see Venus Juro, Top Man, these type of characters. I want to see them flex first and then be fought later on, right? Kizaru, I would be happy to see Zoro and Sanji fight right now, because Kizaru is a very established character. We have a good idea of how strong he is. He's had so many feats throughout the story. Now would be cool for us to see Zoro and Sanji, having grown so much, be able to take on Kizaru. I would love to see that. With the Gorosei, we understand they're supposed to be strong, but right now they're kind of like Luffy's not having difficulty with Saturn, right? I understand that it's just because Luffy's that strong, not because Saturn's weak. Saturn seems to be portrayed around Kizaru's strength, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, I would love to see the Gorosei feel like threats. So I don't want to see the Gorosei show up and just like fuck up Zoro and Sanji, because that's just making them look even worse. On the flip side, I don't really need to see Zoro and Sanji like getting one up on the Gorosei either just yet, because I kind of want to let them get some hype and build up how strong they are first. Does that make sense? Unless, of course, all the Gorosei are supposed to be defeated this arc. It would be exciting in a way, but I guess disappointing in some ways. It would be complicated. I don't know how it'd feel until we see that really play out. Joseph eBay, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 1 month. Hey Morj, love the content. Thanks for reading my message. Yes, I just caught it at a good time, man. What devil fruit would you personally want to have in real life? I think Kuma's fruit. I think Kuma's fruit is like a perfect all-in-one type fruit. The Nika fruit, I think the Nika fruit's too wild. Just a bit too wild. I'm like, do I need to be doing all that crazy shit? Nah. But the Kuma's fruit is so nice. You can heal other people. You can teleport. You can defend yourself well, I suppose, if bad shit's gonna happen to you. Maybe the Phoenix fruit, though, because I love the ability of flight. Flight would be so much fun. Invulnerability, regeneration. I think I'd still go with the Phoenix fruit, actually. I don't know. Yeah, let me do a quick poll. Gorosei versus Admirals. Oh, let's just say Saturn versus Kizaru. How do people still feel here? Because we've gotten back and forth. I think last chapter people were still on Saturn greater than Kizaru. I am inclined to say this chapter implies the same. We still haven't seen Kizaru's awakening. I think it's supposed to be close. I'm calling them both Admiral level, essentially, for the time being. John678, thanks for the 5. All 5 Gorosei are here. No way Luffy's taking them all on. Saturn's not dying this arc. We'll take that W for the world government agenda. Kuma's death is in vain. Kuma's death will not be in vain so long as Luffy, Nika, who he saved, one day frees the world. And as long as this message of Vegapunk goes out to the world and causes a change, like all of the events that Kuma participated in, the events of Egghead Island will still be a victory, right? It doesn't matter if Luffy and the Straw Hats don't defeat the Gorosei here, right? We've already kind of gotten the win condition, right? The win condition for this arc is not defeating all of the Gorosei and the Marines. The win condition is if Vegapunk's message is able to be broadcasted to the world. That is the win condition for the Straw Hats. If the Straw Hats succeed in defending the Labostratum for 10 minutes, and that message goes out to the world, it is a giant fucking L for the world government. And the Straw Hats get away scot-free, obviously. If that's the case, then it's a double win, right? Vegapunk's death doesn't make this arc an L. Kuma's death doesn't make this arc an L. If the Straw Hats manage to pull off this 10-minute timer situation, then they've basically dealt the world government the biggest blow that it's ever had in like 800 years, right? And they're on their way to freeing the world in that case, right? I think that that's awesome. I really like the situation, the setup that Oda established here, because it's just like, it allows for a way that the Straw Hats ultimately escaping still feels like a win, because they got the last laugh, you know what I mean? Saturn Kizaru seems pretty close. Yeah, I imagine most people view them as roughly around the same level. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick, because we got like over 1,000 people in here. King G, thanks for the 5. This being the first arc of the final saga, and it's this good, proves Oda will be delivering a generational masterclass better than Marineford soon. Dude, this arc is it is continually raising the bar. This arc is so great. I mean, the final panel of this chapter was one of the coolest final panels to a chapter that I've ever seen. And it's, you know what, it almost feels like something out of a different manga. I don't know, because like One Piece isn't like I don't know. That's kind of a random thing to say, but like just the visual of like these like massive summoning, like these characters being summoned with all these theatrics and stuff like that. I don't usually associate like that sort of stuff with One Piece, those sort of visuals with One Piece, you know? But it was just so cool seeing like these massive like flames and all of that stuff, and these huge pillars of flames or like lightning or whatever, like erupting all over the island as like these super powerful characters are showing up. I don't know. Maybe it's not the right way to phrase it, but It just feels surreal seeing that happen here, you know? Gave me Kino the Farces gave me Berserk vibes with the final panel, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know how to quite explain it. It's just, it feels like a like a Berserk sort of like monsters being summoned type of imagery. I don't know. Breezy2X, thanks for the 2. Do you think the Strats run or fight here? I think the 10-minute time limit means that the Strats have to fight to preserve Vegapunk's legacy. I think that they have to fight for the next 10 minutes or so, and that's what makes it exciting, because they don't have to beat all the characters here, but it's gonna be a battle royale. It feels like for the moment. Julian Criswell, thanks for the 5. What are your 90%, 50%, 10% predictions for the ending of Egghead? Please give us something spicy for the 10%. I've never had a question phrased like that before. That's nice. 90% is, let's see. That's a cool question. 90% is actually the hardest one to say for some reason. Let's say 90%. I'm 90% sure that Bonnie is getting off the island with the Straw Hats and will likely be accepted into the crew as a cabin girl or something like that down the line. It just feels like Vegapunk's literally pushing her onto the ship, right? Leaving them in her care, right? 50%, Kuma's death. It's a scary one, but I feel like, to me, it just has to happen. I feel like so much is lost for me for the storyline if Kuma doesn't die. Even if Kuma doesn't feel that prominent at the moment, I'm not going to forget, like, when I'm rereading, that's going to be the emotional centerpiece of the arc. For me, Kuma's really got to go. That dude's got to die, all right? But I'm 50-50 on whether Oda's going to pull it off. One thing that's very encouraging is the fact that Vegapunk seems to have died, but Oda didn't go all in on some sort of, like, really sad montage for it. Because if he went all in on some sort of sad sort of chapter dedicated to Vegapunk's death or something like that, like some emotional heartstrings thing, then I'd be like, oh fuck, he's using this as like the big emotional sad climax of the arc rather than Kuma's death. But Oda's going light on it. Vegapunk's death, it's kind of being moved along through just to get to the main piece, which is the spiel that he's about to give. And I was so fucking stupidly wrong last chapter when I was just like, I don't think Vegapunk died. And yeah, you guys were right. I didn't fully realize. I did speed read that Vegapunk, I thought that he was still alive at the end of the chapter. And I thought he was like doing something manual to release this information to the world. But, you know, he is dead. So again, that gives me high hopes that Kuma will die, because it's not being milked for drama or emotions. It's just he died, right? Which suggests to me that there's potential for like Oda actually going in on a more dramatic death down the line. And 10%, my 10% prediction is Kizaru having a turnaround by the end of the arc in some way. Kizaru having a turnaround and doing something, by the end of this, like against the Marines or against the Gorosei or something like that. Rodrigo Aliaga, thanks for the 5. Don't worry about being late. We know you were making the script for Kaido and Big Mom are coming back theory after that cover story. Copium time. That did not even cross my mind for that. I do wonder why Onigashima is being like still focused on. We know that Onigashima is important in some way based on what Marco said, that it used to be called something else, but just the fact that it's sinking to the, like, how did that happen? Because it doesn't really make sense to me, right? Like, how's Onigashima there? Like, because I can understand if just through sheer weight it slowly falls through Wano's surface, right? If that happens just through sheer weight, so then it could get. I gotta look at the layout of Wano again, but it could come beneath the Earth's crust. But then, like, weren't we shown that like Kaido and Big Mom were just sent straight into the lava and stuff? So why isn't Onigashima? I gotta look at Wano's layout again. Let me look at that again just real quick. Wano layout. Yeah, Wano's interior. Yeah, I don't really get it exactly, because from what it doesn't make sense. If you look at Wano's layout, like the structure of it, then Onigashima sinking should just, like, there shouldn't be water there. Actually, it should actually end up in the crust, like in the lava. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense if you look at it Final page felt like Attack on Titan. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it feels reminiscent of imagery that I've seen in other places, but not quite in One Piece. I don't know why. The final panel. Remix King, always good to see you. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 13 months. With the other Gorosei being around for the assumed defeat of Saturn and their ability to communicate with him telepathically, who is Blackbeard gonna fool? Dude, I don't fucking know what, like, okay, so maybe it's not gonna be so they might not see Saturn's defeat, like, themselves, right? So Saturn could go offline or something like that, in a sense. He could go offline, like, oh, fuck, Saturn's out, unconscious, right? And then the Blackbeard Pirates could present Saturn as basically being, like, a hostage or something, right? He could be, like, they could show him to the Gorosei knocked out or something like that. That's the best shot at it being relevant. But I don't really understand it being relevant otherwise. You know what? No, the other way that it would be relevant would most likely be in just commanding the Seraphim or something like that. I think that could work. That's something that other people have brought up before. Joseph S. with a great point. I assume Momo moved it. Yeah, that is a great point. I love that. Redagrid says Oda made an error. I think it would be too big of an error. So I definitely agree. That could be Momo. Great point. Great catch. Because I was just thinking, like, who the fucking Onigashima could physically, like, who the fucking Wano could physically move that? Like, I don't, like, yeah, I don't think there was anybody in Wano that'd be able to do it, but I forgot about Momonosuke. Penpal1058, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 15 months. Haha, don't need to watch the VOD if you're live while I'm at work. This is sweet. Yeah, I'm happy that a lot of people are going to be able to tune in right now just because it's daytime. Saturn talking with Gorosei, similar to how Vegapunk talking satellites. Don't even say anything. There's a video coming out next Tuesday. I won't elaborate any further. Evil Friend, thanks for the 2. So hyped for the new cover story. Yeah, there is unfinished business in Wano with Pluton and everything there. So I'm happy that we're going back to Wano. I was wondering if it would be during like actual chapters going back to Wano, but cover story makes so much sense. Goomba Boomba, thanks for the 5. For a while, I disliked the Return of the Giants as I felt like it made the Buster Call more of a cakewalk than it already was. I love this chapter. Holy shit. Yeah, to me, it's just like, all right, Dari and Bragi, you guys got to get the fuck out of there. I don't know if you guys could deal with this type of shit. Like, it's almost a necessity at this point. It's like, okay, we need those fucking giants. We'll get all the help we could fucking get, right? Like, this is insane. JWP, thanks for the 10. This chapter was insane. Oh, yeah. We've been guessing that Saturn might be the weakest Gorosei. Feels like the tables were just turned. Luffy can hang, but like everyone else, Zoro's still fighting Lucci right now, bro. Dude, I feel like, okay, call me crazy, but I feel like this could be Oda just setting up for like a dramatic sort of re-emergence of the help from the Straw Hats. I don't know, just because they've been fucking useless. Like, forget even Zoro. The rest of them have been fucking useless for a bit. Like, they've done nothing. I think this is a great opportunity if Luffy's finally got his back against the wall and, you know, the rest of the crew, like maybe Zoro comes in after having just rapped with Lucci. Sanji makes his return. He's still obviously around there. I mean, Zoro's supposed to be already in the area that the Gorosei are headed towards, so that could be cool. Yeah, and just if the other Strats could contribute in some way too, that'd be good. Even if it's just helping clear the Marines, I don't know. Abrara Med, thank you for catching this. Missed a member message from Etchnatons. Thank you. Finally a stream I can catch live. Really love... Yeah, dude, so many people are able to catch this one live. Again, I might do a poll or something just to see if people might be interested in streams being during the day, but I don't want to fuck it up too much for too many people. Really love the Hindu mythology talk last time. Interested in more. Thanks for all the VODs. Yeah, no, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Hindu mythology talk, we'll do it whenever it's relevant. I don't want to just keep forcing it in because, you know, that's stuff that I like, but not necessarily everybody. Flip says all Strats versus all Gorosei. Could be cool. Could be really cool. Plus Kizaru. Let's not forget Kizaru. Rei Uchiha, thanks for the 5. Hey, I watched Monday's stream VOD, and I wanted to say that my favorite shonen moment is when Kuwabara was willing to sacrifice himself to Toguro for Yusuke. I'm not gonna lie, man, I don't even fucking remember that. And I remember, like, most of Yu Yu Hakusho, but, like, don't remember that. You know what? One thing I've always said is that, Yu Yu Hakusho and, Hunter x Hunter, it's a copy-paste of the main cast. the author only knows how to write one type of main, like, or he likes his main cast setup. I would say Yusuke and Gon are the most different, right? But if you take away Yusuke and Gon, then you've got a lot of, like, Hiei and Killua are fucking identical. Like, Killua is basically like a younger version of that same personality type, right? Very, very similar personality types. Kurama and Kurapika, come on, man. Kurama and Kurapika, just the same fucking character. And then Kuwabara and Leorio, it's just like the tall dummy, just the tall dummy comical relief type character, but who has a lot of heart of the group, right? Like, it's the same ideas for the cast across the board. Gon and Yusuke are the most different, but that's largely, I feel, because like Hunter Hunt, like Gon, like they're similar in their sort of simplicity in terms of how they think and like their how they think, how they fight, that sort of thing. But Yusuke's obviously a more mature character. Gon's very Gon's more of a black box in terms of what's going on in there, and I think that serves a lot of Hunter x Hunter a lot better. But it is interesting. It's a remarkably similar main cast. Miss Super from Cigar Verk. I'm going through them one at a time, so no, I haven't missed from Cigar Verk. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Porsche, thanks for the 5. Mork-chan, will cover story be about Jack, maybe? That'll be funny. I don't think so, but it would be interesting if it is. Also, how will Devon having Saturn's face work now that the Gorosei are here? So I've pivoted, I think, just to the possibility that, because the telepathy thing is like a big problem, right? Saturn could still be defeated outside the view of the rest of the Gorosei, but it's going to be very hard to impersonate Saturn if telepathy is important, right? That's going to be really, really difficult. Although the Gorosei, when they're with each other, generally, they don't communicate through telepathy. They communicate through verbal dialogue, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be a huge tell. So Catarina Devon could still sneak in there now that I'm thinking about it, right? Because this seems like a one-off thing of like, well, we're thousands of miles apart, so we're going to communicate through our minds. But generally, it seems like they actually talk to each other. So it still seems doable. But there's 3 possibilities, right? So 1, if Saturn is defeated outside the view of the rest of the Gorosei, then yeah, Catarina Devon could still sneak her way into the Gorosei, right? 2, Catarina Devon, like if Saturn is defeated outside of the view of the Gorosei, then Catarina Devon could, impersonate Saturn just to be a hostage or something like that, being held by the Blackbeard pirates, right? And then finally 3 would just be Catarina Devon using Saturn's appearance to order around the Seraphim. So it's still got to be relevant in some way, we can assume, but now there's 3 options, I would say. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 10. Do you think Vegapunk's message could prompt Kizaru to change sides / defy the world government? Either to change sides after hearing the message or disobeying orders so that the message could be heard. I definitely think that there's a possibility that this could be what changes Kizaru's motive or swings him over to a certain side. Because, like, Kizaru went all the way. He killed Vegapunk. He, like, actually killed Vegapunk at the end of the day. He went all the way, right? He's got to be feeling some type of way right now. And to hear the final words from his old friend, right? Like post-mortem, to hear those final words and kind of whatever the weight of those words will be and like the revelations that he has during that and the realizations of what he's done to someone that was like trying to do the best for the world, I think that those could be the triggers to make Kizaru act in a way that is in defiance of his normal, usual, dutiful self. And I think that would be beautiful because I think that's more powerful. That, like, I think the fact that Kizaru ultimately went all the way in killing his friend, and only after that is potentially going to have a character turn or a change in sides, right? Like, and have his little arc. I think that's a lot more powerful and meaningful than if Kizaru at the last second was like, I can't kill Vegapunk, I'm gonna fight against the world government or something like that, because that's more expected, right? Like, that's the kind of by the book thing, and you know, it's still meaningful obviously, but it's just like we've seen that a million times before. Like, I can't bring myself to kill you, you're my friend, like let me fight against blah blah blah, right? But no, he did it, and he has to live with that now, and it's going to be so much harder for him to live with when he's listening to the last words of his friend that he killed, right? Everything that Vegapunk's going to be ramifications of Kizaru's actions, what really was lost here, what Vegapunk was working towards, all of that is going to just like weigh heavily on Kizaru as that message is playing. I think that's a very exciting potential for potentially exciting scene for some character development for Kizaru, and it could go far enough that it makes him change his ways in some way, you know. Let's get the stream likes up to 400 real quick. Is the audio off? Audio okay? Audio okay right now? Fuck. Think it's working. It should be working. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, you guys get what I'm saying, right? I really, really like that idea. I think that's a much more powerful character turn. Yeah. I think we could get some really juicy stuff out of Vegapunk if Oda chooses to go down that route. Oh, actually, hold on. No, do I save this for... Shit. Oh, I've got such a juicy idea. All right, okay, let me write this down. Do I share this with you guys? Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'll try and keep this short. Hold on. It'll be the video. Maybe this will be the video after. No, I don't know if it's worth talking. Okay, I'll mull it over as we I'll figure it out. Whether I want to talk about it on stream or not. I don't know if it's good enough to be a video idea. But anyway. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Oh no, missed this. Behanoy, thank you. Post Egghead, we might just know the names and designs of all the Celestial Dragon fighters, Emu, Gorosei, Knights, and some of their powers insane. Yeah, I don't know if, like, okay, post Egghead, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get God Knight stuff just yet, but we're gonna get to see the forms of the other Gorosei next chapter. That is fucking insane, right? For those of you who don't know, I did the stream, like the last stream I did was on the, we discussed the potential forms of the Gorosei, like their actual yokai abilities, right? Check that stream out, because I think we actually nailed probably a good, like, I think that it was a collaborative effort. You guys fed me most of the ideas, but I think at the end of the day, like, we got a really good list of possibilities. I think that stream is super relevant right now. Go check that out, and we'll see how right it is 2 weeks down the line. Matthew Armstrong, first time catching live due to time zones. Instead of hearing about how late you were in the VOD, I got to experience the wait firsthand. Yeah, I'm happy people got to experience that too. That's funny. Reflexy, thanks for being a member for 12 months. Why is no one talking about how crazy all 5 elders is? It is fucking crazy. It's insane. Like, this is one of the most insane, like, I don't even know how to put this into words. I don't think we've ever had just 6 Admiral level characters show up on one side of a battle, like, to fight other characters. Like, Marineford, yeah, sorry. We had Marineford where, you know, you got the 3 admirals, you got Garp, Sengoku, Mihawk, you got stuff like that, right? But this is all, like, this is sudden. This is all out of the blue. Marineford, that was slow gathering. This is insane. Like, this is just everybody showing up at once. I think one of the small reasons that it's not as impactful, like, I think it would feel more impactful if, for example, suddenly Akainu, Aokiji, Fujitora, Green Bull, all were suddenly appeared at this island at once to fight the Straw Hats. That would feel more impactful because we've seen those characters for longer. We've seen the Gorosei for a long time, but we've only just found out that they're strong, right? Whereas the admirals, Kizaru, Fujitora, Akainu, Aokiji, right? Like, the established admirals, they've been around for so long and have been such threatening forces in the story for so long and done so much and have so many feats. It's just the name Admiral carries a certain connotation to it just through the longevity and how long it's been in the story for us, right? Gorosei, it's a new idea for us. It's new to us that these Gorosei are really strong. We're still kind of getting a gauge of how strong they're supposed to be. Like, some would argue equal to Kizaru, some would argue above Kizaru, some would probably still argue maybe even below Kizaru, but, like, around that ballpark. But we're just kind of realizing that. It doesn't help that Saturn hasn't done anything that impressive just yet, aside from regeneration. So it's still really exciting that all 5 Gorosei are here, plus Kizaru, who's already here. That's still really exciting. It's just not. I think part of the reason people aren't going as apeshit over it as you would maybe expect if it was like 5 admirals that were here on the island, even though it should be roughly the same thing, is just because, again, the Gorosei are newer to us, and we have less understanding of what they can do. So we're gonna find out in the next chapters. I'm sure people, like, the hype train will just keep building and building as we get their ability reveals and all of that. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 400 real quick. Mark Sick down. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 17 months, man. Hope all is well, Morj. Yeah, no, I'm feeling really good. I was saying that from the start of the stream. The setup here has so much going on. It is insane. The Gorosei hype, along with Vegapunk's announcement. Next chapter is crazy potential. The climax of this arc, which was already very exciting, but the climax of this arc, the rest of this arc, like, I was beginning to think, and a lot of people had this down, it was like, okay, it's going to be Luffy versus Kizaru, then maybe Zoro and Sanji Luffy versus Saturn, then maybe Zoro and Sanji versus Kizaru. Maybe the other Strahds get some licks in against the Vice Admirals or something. That'll be a really, really cool ending to the arc, right? That's what our view was 1-2 chapters back. This is so fucking, like, so much more. Like, it literally took the threat that we had before and multiplied it by 3, right? Like that's essentially what happened. Before it was like Saturn and Kizaru. Okay, those 2 guys are a problem. This is a problem. I wonder if the monster trio can handle this, right? It just took the problem we had and, like, tripled it. It is so cool. Like, I've never seen something that drastic, I think, happen at the end of a One Piece arc just like that. Like, in an arc where the Strahds are supposed to win, you know? Like, Sabaody, they're supposed to lose. So Sabaody was like, oh my god, the Pacifistas. Okay, not just the Pacifistas, but Pacifistas plus Sentomaru, plus Kizaru. Like, plus the real Kuma. Like, that was like a snowball of events where it just got out of hand. They couldn't handle it. This is different because they need to hold out for those 10 minutes for Vegapunk's message to play. So this is an arc where they're set to actually succeed in some way. Not necessarily beat everybody, but it's very different in that Oda just tripled the stakes out of the blue, and yet the Strahds are still supposed to make it out with the W, in a sense, right? Maybe Luffy gets captured, maybe some shit happens, but at least they're supposed to be able to, like, get the victory over the world government in the sense that they're supposed to be able to last these 10 minutes and allow Vegapunk's message to be revealed to the world. So yeah, amazing chapter. This is potentially be one of the most exciting One Piece climaxes, like, in history. Yeah, Cigar Verk, thank you for the 5. Egghead has made me love One Piece like I used to during Weekly Marineford and Rooftop. Only qualm is useless Strahds. These chapters are straight 10 out of 10 and tension skyrocketed. Yeah, like, Oda did a great job with, like, allowing Luffy to flex, showing just how strong he is. I think that's the best of both worlds, right? You get that triumphant feeling of, like, Luffy arriving, saving the day, showing Bonnie the power of Nika, just handing it to Saturn and Kizaru and punishing them for what they've been doing, like what Kizaru just did to Vegapunk, all of that stuff. And just, like, flexing Luffy's power and abilities, and it's just, like really, really cathartic to see all that. And then still being able to turn the tension back up as, like, okay, Luffy's really strong, but I'm going to make it so that even he is going to have a lot of difficulty with what's coming next, right? Like, this is just straight up overwhelming. So, amazing stuff. Yeah, like, this is stupid exciting. Weekly Marineford and Rooftop. Yeah, I'd say Rooftop piece was, like, the last time it felt this exciting for me personally. Oxdward, thanks for the 2. How many backstories do you think are left? It depends what you call a backstory, because it's like, you could say Sentomaru and Kizaru got a Sentomaru got a backstory, right? But it was just like a quick montage. So if you're talking about, like, full-on backstories, I think Blackbeard, Akainu for sure. No, not for sure. Blackbeard, Dragon for sure. I think Shanks, Mihawk, Akainu have a good shot. I'd say Kainu's got a better shot than Mihawk. I think that might be the ones that I'm most certain of. And then the Joy Boy, like, Void Sentry flashback. I think those are the ones that I'd be most certain of. Muglatan, thanks a lot. He's finally streaming when Europeans can watch. Is this, like, the ideal time? I don't know. Because, like, normally I stream in the evenings EST, Eastern time. which I understand is good for most Americans to be able to catch the stream, but bad for Europeans. Whereas midday EST, it's probably like some Americans can watch, but then also a lot of Europeans can watch. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. English 1D1, thanks for the 5. I feel like the Giants / Mech Giants / Kuma stay behind to stall the Gorosei to give a view of their power, and Strahd's escape, leading to a bigger future fight. I forgot. I keep forgetting about the fucking Mech Giant. Yeah, the Mech Giant. I was wondering where it's gonna come in. It would come in clutch here. It would really come in clutch here. Let's see how strong the fucking Mech Giant is. Again, the Gorosei, they're all gonna be new. They're flexing their abilities, so I feel like it's very important that they don't just get. It's gonna be a thin line, like a fine line, because they can't look bad. Especially if they're gonna be the endgame opponents, they can't look bad. Like, so you can't have the Straw Hats or the Iron Giant do too well against them, like just fuck them up, because that kills a lot of the hype for the future, right? But at the same time, it needs to feel like a threat, right? But at the same time, it's like, but the Straw Hats still ultimately need to succeed in holding out for 10 minutes. So I really wonder how Oda is going to balance this following fight, you know? I think the ancient mech is going to be important, of course. Steven Guy, thanks for the 2. Have you seen the new SBS? Yon Cooks is fire. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's some of the best cooks in the sea. I skimmed that part of it, but yeah, that is interesting. Let me check that out again. For those of you who don't know, the SBS revealed that there's like a top. I forget. It revealed like a chef that's like one of the top tier chefs, in the One Piece world or something like that. Let's see. Cook. Marine Headquarters has an elite group of chefs known as the Yon Cooks. Among them is Winter Cuisine Komakov, who was selected as the chef for Saturn and Kizaru during their escort to Egghead. I really hope we get to see Sanji go up against them in some fashion at some point. Stefan Green, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 2 months. Zoro reacted when Saturn came. Do you think he realizes Luffy is definitely going to need help and beats Lucci quickly and Jinbei takes him there? I mean, so the argument that people had is that Zoro is already in the area that needs to be protected, so it's almost as though they might come to him at the end of the day. So we could be good. I don't know. I would really love, like, if we get to the end of this arc and Sanji's only contribution was blocking one Kizaru laser, and Zoro's contribution is defeating Lucci, and Luffy's having to take on 6 Admiral level opponents at the same time and hold them off for 10 minutes, I would personally feel just somewhat disappointed. You know? So I hope that Zoro and Sanji at the very least are able to contribute in some way, and I hope the rest of the Straw Hats are able to contribute in some way. King of Lightning reacting to Luffy's feat, LMAO? Oh, I'd love to watch that, honestly. King of Lightning has amazing reactions. They're fantastic to watch. It's actually really frustrating to watch at the same time, because I tuned in at some points, and the dude knows how to drag shit out, like drag out each panel, each moment. So I'm like in for like a 5-10 minute reaction, and I'm sitting there like an hour in, I'm like, he hasn't even gotten to the good part. So I don't usually watch King of Lightning's reactions. Mostly I don't really watch other One Piece YouTubers in general, but sometimes if there's a crazy hype chapter, then the only person that I'll really go to watch a reaction of is King of Lightning, and then I end up feeling like blue-balled for like 30 minutes in, and then usually I'll turn it off or like tune back in or something, because I'm just like, fuck, man, just get to the good stuff. But he knows what he's doing. William Marshall, thanks for the 5. Only feat that's comparable is Zoro holding off Kaido and Big Mom's combined attack in Wano, but that was pretty brief. It's like a totally different category, man. That's just, I mean, like, yeah, he held it off for like it's just a totally different category. Like, this is more of an extended, like they're fighting. Like, this is like, that was a moment. That's a really, really cool moment. That's maybe the strongest attack in One Piece that Zoro was able. Like, you got arguments. I don't know. It's one of, at the very least, the strongest attacks in One Piece history, and Zoro was able to hold it off for like a moment. But I think that's very different from like Luffy just genuinely showing clear an easy dominance over the course of like a chapter and a half against 2 admiral level opponents, you know? Like that's an extended stint. Like they're actually fighting and like they're trying to fight back against Luffy and they can't do shit. You know. Tony69, thanks for the 12 euros. European finally catching a stream. Damn, this is so crazy. I'm seeing so many Europeans. This makes so much sense now. This is where all you guys are at. Huge fan since raid failing. God damn it. Maybe we don't need the Europeans around here. Best spoken analysis, chill One Piece YouTuber. I do appreciate it though. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate the content. Time to give back. Thanks a lot, man. No, we need the Europeans. We need the Europeans. Top 3 strongest Devil Fruit combo. No, Nika and Yami. Love from Amsterdam. Okay, so I don't know how you do Devil Fruit combinations like that, because it's like, I feel like it would be sugar plus something. Although, one of the things is that, like, hockey makes it really difficult to do this sort of thing anymore to me, because it's like, some Devil Fruits that were just broke in the past that I viewed as broke, I'm like, okay, but now their broke ability doesn't really matter as much due to hockey. Like, you could argue that Sugar's one touch, because I could, like, if I were to do perfect combinations, it would maybe be something like Law and Sugar's ability, or like Kuma and Sugar's ability, something that allows you to get to the opponent really fast and then touch them with Sugar. I feel like that would be the ultimate combination, but it's not. Now it's all questionable, because it's like, well, if the opponent has strong enough hockey, then could they just be immune to Sugar's abilities, you know? So strong as Devil Fruit combinations, like, now I'm leaning more towards like just straight up power stuff. That would be most like if you have the Gura Gura no Mi and really good like it might just be like if you need to beat your opponent with straight up power rather than hacks, then a lot of hacks abilities, let's throw them out the window. So more so stuff that would help you in just straight up physical combat. So like maybe like Gura Gura no Mi plus like Kaido's Devil Fruit, like something that's just overwhelmingly strong, you know? I think that's what I'm kind of leading towards. Like maybe Kizaru's Light Fruit plus like Kizaru's like combining things like Kizaru's Light Fruit and like the Gura Gura no Mi. So like a kick at the speed of light, but like also an earthquake or something. Probably Gura Gura no Mi plus some Logia, I think. So I can't give you 3 combinations because I'd have to think too much, but those are along the lines of what I'm thinking. Stanley Branton, thanks for the 2. Morj, remember Luffy and Zoro haven't used Conqueror's Haki yet. That's what I'm kind of like holding on to. I mean, we saw that Sanji, like Oda remembers that these characters have power-ups. Like Sanji flipped his eyebrow switch and he was able to deflect a Kizaru laser. So let's hope that we get to see Zoro get back in the action once he uses. It was ambiguous whether Zoro used Conqueror's Haki against Lucci to begin the fight or something. It was ambiguous. I like to believe that he hasn't yet, so we just gotta wait and see. I hope that it would just feel so bizarre if the arc ends and it's like, because I get, like, I'm not one of those people at this point that I'm like, well, Zoro needs to be close to Luffy or something like that, but for Luffy to leave Zoro and Sanji so far in the dust, where we get an arc where, like, Luffy's fighting 6 Admiral-level opponents at the same time, whereas Sanji's doing nothing, Zoro's handling at best, Yonko first mate-level character for the entire time. I don't know, it would feel, like, really strange to me. It would feel like they're being relegated to being somewhat useless, and I think all the strats are important, obviously. Liam's, thanks for the 5. Love your content, always look forward to it. Thank you very much. Thanks for supporting. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 10 from X. Okay, hold on. Vegapunk baited elders to come, and he can show the world Sun God versus demons. That is why he told them to set up visuals to show the truth. Iron Giant or Giants can show how to damage elders and hold them off. Okay, I don't know about the Iron Giant thing, but that's a possibility. Showing the truth. So, showing all... Okay, that is a good possibility, but I feel like Vegapunk, there's also information that he wants to tell them. I don't know if just the visual of seeing, like, Sun God Luffy, like, because people already know what Luffy looks like. They've seen the bounty poster and everything. They've seen, like, Sun God mode Luffy or whatever. I think just the visual of seeing Luffy, like, okay, seeing the Gorosei in demonic form would help, for sure. But I think there's also information that needs to be shared and revealed, you know? I don't think it's just people seeing, like, oh, here's, like, the Gorosei are demons and stuff. This is, like, we should rebel against the world government. You know, I think there needs to be more information that's revealed. The visual stuff does help, obviously. I would agree. Atilio, thanks for the 5. Morj, Vinland Saga Season 1 and 2 are peak fiction. Just finished watching. What's best is that there's more to come. Season 3, 2025, also animated by Mappa. I have not watched Season 2 of Vinland Saga. I've read all of Vinland Saga up to where I imagine Season 3 will end. And I'll tell you right now, the story of Season 1 and Season 2 Vinland Saga, which for me was the first 100 chapters of Vinland Saga, to me, that was like... At one point, I loved that so much, it was, I was of the opinion that Vinland Saga could actually supplant One Piece as my favorite manga. No other manga have I ever thought that when I was reading it. I think Hunter x Hunter at some points, I was kind of, like, maybe when I was a little lower on One Piece at one brief window of time, I was like, maybe Hunter x Hunter is kind of catching it, because I was really loving the boat arc. But that kind of went away. JoJo's, when I was like partway through Steel Ball Run, before it kind of disappointed me with the direction it ended up, like, with, at least with the way it all tied up. I was kind of like, oh, this is coming up on One Piece almost as my favorite. Vinland Saga is the only one that actually hit a point where I was like, fuck, this actually might have just passed up One Piece, or like be right there with One Piece as my favorite manga. It's the only one. And then the Baltic Sea War arc happened. You will see I'm sure they'll try and adapt Season 3 better in the anime, but to me, Vinland Saga just falls off such a drastic cliff after the first 100 chapters. I've heard good things about the most recent arc. I'm not 100% caught up, but the arc that happens after where Season 2 just ended, right? After the first 100 chapters, to me, it reduces so much of the beauty of what was written to, like, a much, much, much more generic story, generic character writing. It tramples over a lot of the development and ideas that were established. And I feel like a lot of it was just because the author needed a stepping stone arc to get to his final arc. I feel like a lot of what happened this arc is almost unnecessary. Yeah, so Vinland Saga is very disappointing for me. I don't like hearing about Vinland Saga stuff now just because it's such a disappointment for me, the direction that series ended up going. California Penguin says One Piece greater than Vinland Saga, but you're wrong about the Baltic Sea War. All I can say is that the beauty of where Thorfinn's arc, like, there's so many things that I think the Baltic Sea War arc fucked up, but if I were to boil it down to one that I think is the most important, where Thorfinn's arc ended at the end of Season 2, at the end of the farm arc, right? The beauty of where that ended rings so hollow once you read the Baltic Sea War arc and you realize that a lot of that development was actually not that concrete and was a lot more in theory rather than actual, like, his true true changes in character, basically. I don't like when a story walks back some previous character development just to retread the same problem again, just to kind of, like, make things a bit more complicated. Because when you've done I think Thorfinn's arc between prologue arc through farm arc is the best best manga main character arc that I've ever read. I think that arc is the best. The next arc turns it into something very generic that I've seen a million times before, and kind of takes away a lot of the beauty of what was done in the initial arc, and basically says, well, that wasn't actually 100% true. He didn't actually 100% change as much as we thought he did. He didn't actually truly live and breathe the philosophies that we felt that he had earned over this story arc. When you've already earned some level of development for the character that is that profound, then to just turn it into something much more generic and messy and, like, just retread the same thing over and over with much less powerful storytelling or thought out storytelling to go with it, it takes away from it too much for me. It basically threw away what Thorfinn's character was shaping up to. Anyway. I don't want to spoil. I mean, I could do the symbol thing again. I'm not gonna get into it here. People want to talk about One Piece. I'm not gonna get into it too much here. Um, if people keep bringing up Vinland Saga, then I'll go into it. Okay, let me keep catching up on supers. Muglaton, thanks a lot. If Crossguild ends up coming to Elbaf, there's a very real chance that Zoro's fight with Lucci is his last one before Mihawk. There's a very real chance that Zoro's fight with Lucci is his last one before Mihawk. If Crossguild ends up coming to Elbaf, there's a very real chance that Zoro's fight with Lucci is his last one before Mihawk. No, I like to believe if Crossguild is coming to Elbaf, then that means that Zoro will get something more at this arc, because he would just have to. You can't go from Lucci to Mihawk. That would be insane. That makes no sense. If Lucci's his last fight here, he's not fighting anybody else, no Kizaru, no Gorosei, then there's no, like, Mihawk cannot show up at Elbaf, because otherwise Mihawk would be embarrassed to see Zoro today. He'd just be like, what you do at Egghead Island? How'd you contribute to that incident? He's like, well, I held off. I held off the weakest opponent on the entire opponent's side, one that Luffy had already defeated, and was only released because Luffy didn't get, like... It makes so much sense. Like, Luffy letting Lucci go makes even more sense now, because, like, we all knew, like, Luffy could just handle Lucci easily, right? If needed. But now it even makes more sense, like, how callous Luffy was about letting Lucci go. Because think about it, like, if he can just handle Saturn and Kizaru so easily at the same time, and he knew, like, if I really tried, like, you know, I can handle even these level characters this easily, then for him, like, Lucci, like, there's probably almost no difference between how Luffy views Lucci versus, like, a generic pacifista. You know what I mean? Like, if he can do this to Saturn and Kizaru, in Luffy's mind, Lucci probably registers on the same scale of threat as, like, fucking Chopper. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just so far down, like, Luffy's like, threat perception. It's literally just like, yeah, we can let you go. Like, why don't you go get the rest of CP0? Let's see what happens. I think that makes it more embarrassing that it is taking Zoro this long. Brooke is the GOAT. Thanks a lot. This community likes to underrate Luffy and the opponents he faces a lot. Luffy is stronger than no Devil Fruit Red cripple. I was trying to process who you mean by that. The no Devil Fruit Red cripple. I was like, oh, Shanks? Fuck. And Kaido, as stated by Oda himself, the strongest pirate. Well, Kaido's never stated by Oda to be the strongest pirate. Yeah, Luffy's definitely stronger than Kaido. I don't know about Luffy versus Shanks yet, because we don't know, like, Shanks, if Shanks is meant to represent the ceiling of hockey in the world currently, then that's a very different situation. Because Luffy's power at the moment it skews more. I mean, he's also really strong in hockey, obviously, but, like, he still has steps to go in hockey, right? And hockey can overpower Devil Fruits and such, so it's like, it's a mixed, who knows how Luffy versus Shanks would go. Just lol, thanks for the 2. Kizaru equals Big Mom. Luffy would handle Big Mom easier, to be honest. Okay, but then you think Kizaru, because, like, we talked about this at the beginning of the stream, like, Big Mom scales to Kaido, so you think that Kizaru is basically about equal to Kaido too. I don't think that's the case. I think Kaido's a half step or a step above Kizaru. Big Mom is very close to Kaido, obviously, we saw from their fight. I don't think Luffy would handle Big Mom easier than Kizaru, because I still put, like, I put Kaido and Big Mom because they're essentially equals. Kaido's, like, a percentage or two stronger. And I view Kaido as, I think that Kaido, just from seeing Gear 5th Luffy versus Kizaru, Gear 5th Luffy versus Kaido, I think Kaido was stronger, right? Both of them are still clearly underneath serious Gear 5th Luffy, like when Luffy actually gets angry, right? We saw that very clearly. But, you know, if you take goofing around Gear 5th Luffy versus Kaido, and goofing around Gear 5th Luffy versus Kizaru, Kaido did better at the end of the day, right? Like, Luffy versus Kizaru round 1, I count that as basically that's Luffy when he's goofing around, versus when Luffy fought Kaido for the beginning of their fight, when Luffy was goofing around, Kaido still did better. I put Kaido above Kizaru. By that logic, I'd also put Big Mom above Kizaru. Big Mom is also really dumb and slow. So maybe Luffy could handle Big Mom easier than he does. I don't think he would handle Big Mom easier than Kizaru, though. Because Big Mom's like a hockey monster also. And like, it would just, I think it'd be difficult. Not difficult. Like, he'd still take her. But I don't think it would be as easy as the way he's handling Kizaru right now. I don't know. JP, thanks for the 10. Personally, I think the Gorosei's arrival will now give the ancient robot subplot a role where it will come and maybe assist Luffy. I definitely agree. People brought that up earlier in the stream. I definitely agree with that. Because you need all the help you can get at this point. Or at least prompt an interaction from the Gorosei. Yep. I agree. I'm on board. Umair Ula says Kaido is a lot stronger than Big Mom. I literally don't know why people are... Like, it just goes to show, like, how insane people's biases can be. Because Oda wrote them fighting as equals to a draw over multiple days. Which means that there's no discrepancy here, right? Like, it's not like it was a skirmish. It's not like, there was some outside factors or something like that. They just fought 1v1 for days. Days, right? Like not like a brief fight, not like 10 chapters or something. Or like 10 chapters. They fought for less than 10 chapters, but like not like, like 10 minutes or something. They fought for days. That means that it's similar to an Akainu Aokiji situation. There's not a gap in which you can have Kizaru fit in between Kaido and Big Mom, unless you think that Kizaru would also fight equally with Kaido for days, essentially to a draw. It's not a thing. I don't even know what to say. Kaido wasn't fresh like Kizaru too? Yeah, but Luffy was more handicapped in the Kaido fight because he was in worse health. That's established. Once Luffy goes into Gear 5th, it's established 4 different times throughout that fight that Luffy is in worse health than Kaido at that point. He's basically towing the line between life and death. So, Kaido did fight a more handicapped Luffy than Kizaru is. Kenny says Kaido wouldn't lose to Mid and Flaw, but neither did Big Mom. Big Mom didn't either. The TNT did. Yusuf says, wasn't it one night? It might have been, I don't recall exactly, but it doesn't, at a certain point, it doesn't make a difference, right? If they're fighting for 12 hours equally to a draw, what more does Oda really need to do to establish that these two characters scale to each other? I still agree Kaido is stronger at the end of the day. Like, if they just went all the way to the death, right, Kaido would come out on top. But he couldn't kill her over 12 hours, right? And neither of them were more injured than the other. They settled on a draw. There's nothing really more the author can do to establish these two characters scaling to each other. Loud Waffle says Big Mom got treated less seriously than Kaido. That's the only thing that makes people think there's a huge power difference. Yes, that's the thing. She got treated less seriously. But what Oda wants to establish about the two characters is that they scale to each other. After that, once you establish that they scale to each other, they scale to each other. There's not really much more you can do to dispute that, After that, if it's just shown that one is like Oda just kind of handles them a little more clumsily or something like that, then that's that's its own case. But it's already been established that they're about equal. After that, it's just how the author, how much the author cares to make sure that they don't make this character look stupid, or how concerned the author is with keeping the respect up of a certain character. But that would never change the fact that it's already established that they're basically on the same level. Don Quixote do Flamingo says, Morj, please read my super chat. I'm catching up. Sorry. A lot going on here. Catching up. Okay. Kino the Far, thanks for the 5. I think we got the news in 1111 in 1111 I think we get the news in 1111 instead of 1110 because Oda likes numbers. Gorosei in 1110. Also, I'm on coffee 9. My heartbeat about to wake up a giant robot. Holy shit, dude. There's some people that can have insane amounts of coffee that I don't even know what they are. The other day I heard about a quad which is, I was, I'm not gonna get into it. Like, apparently you can order 4 espresso shots into one drink, basically, which I did not know was a thing. But some people just have way higher tolerance for caffeine than I do. I can have 1. If I have 2 or 3 in a day right now, if I have 3 in a day, I probably won't sleep too well. I want to get my tolerance back up just because I like drinking coffee, but right now it's at like 1 a day. And I'm not going to subscribe to the numbers thing anymore, the 11-11 thing. I personally think it might take longer than that to get to the message, just because it seems like we've got the time limit situation, so it probably wants to let the climax of the arc play out, so we're going to get some action over the next few chapters, and then we get the message. And I kind of am throwing the numbers stuff out the window because at this rate, it's like, I don't know. Like, Oda sticks with his number patterns in some cases, but I don't think, like, we've kind of passed a few milestones where certain things were supposed to happen and they didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, maybe the numbers, like, Oda will probably make the numbers work when he can, like when it's convenient, but not necessarily, I don't think he's married to that. Stanley Burton says, I'm so certain Kuma is not dying, Morj. I think you might. I don't know. I fucking hope so. I'm just not going to think about that. I'm enjoying so much about the rest of the arc and this climax that I'm just not going to think about that scenario. Scoutmaster Demi, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, what do you think about Sanji or another character disrupting the summoning? All Gorosei feels so early, but 10-minute timer might call for them. All Gorosei feels so early, but 10-minute timer might call for them. Oh, disrupting the summoning. Oh, I don't want anyone disrupting the summoning. I don't want anyone disrupting this fucking summoning. It seems like they were summoned at the end of this chapter. It seems like they've been summoned. Because, come on, like, we want to see the Gorosei. If Sanji disrupts this fucking summoning, that is not a W. Alright? Fuck Sanji. He's not coming in clutch if he does that. Alright? I know I'm responding to a hypothetical here, but fuck that shit. He better not disrupt this fucking summoning. No one better disrupt this summoning. Alright? I don't care who it is. We need to see what we were promised at the end of this chapter, which is all 5 Gorosei showing up on this island. That's exciting. The real G Rees, thanks a lot. Tantada's negative the Gorosei. Porsche, thanks for the 5. Monster Quartet. Don't say Monster Quartet. It's the Monster Trio. Don't say Monster Quartet. There's no such thing as the Monster Quartet. Monster Trio or whole crew versus Gorosei. I would love to see the other Strats participate against the Gorosei, but they also might die. Like, if Usopp looked at a Gorosei, I think he could just die. Also, why would all the Gorosei physically arrive to a dying island? Maybe Saturn is just making summons. I mean, in theory, like, they're all arriving to try and stop the worst case scenario, most likely. And Saturn doesn't feel confident that he can take care of Luffy that quickly, even with Kizaru's help. So they're all being summoned there just to win with overwhelming force. And they can most likely summon themselves out at, like, get summoned back to Morishua if necessary, right? Dylan Luddington, thanks for the 5. It almost looks like Kizaru's crying in this chapter. I'm curious as to what you thought about that. Dude, Kizaru's going through it. Kizaru's situation is so interesting. I'm still really, really holding out hope that we get some sort of character change for him by the end of this arc. I think it's still very, very, very powerful. Powerful. Probable. Possible. I think it's very, very possible. But the scenario that I think it could happen, again, if you were watching earlier the stream, I got an idea for it, so I started writing up notes, but I don't know if I want to share it right here. I think there's a very interesting scenario in which it could happen. I'll leave it alone for now, but I feel like it would be after the message for Vegapunk plays. I think after that, Kizaru could have a character change. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 500 real quick. JP, thank you for the 10. If Vegapunk's message causes Kizaru to switch sides, I can see it angering Akainu to make the Marines break off. Akainu making his own bid against all... Oh, shit! JP with the comment of the... Guys, JP with the best comment. Because this is what I was kind of waiting for the longest time, which was like... okay, so let me read out his full comment. I can see it angering Akainu to make the Marines break off. Akainu making his own bid against all groups for justice would be so exciting. This is something that I felt might happen. Not necessarily... Like, I just always felt like as though the story's heading towards a direction where the Celestial Dragons are being presented as the final villains, and then the Marines are kind of taking, like, Oda's kind of going a slightly different route with the Marines, where it's more morally gray and ambiguous where they're going to stand at the end of all this, and it feels like they're going to be their own force, right? Because the Celestial Dragons are being given all of this other stuff, right? We know the Gorosei are strong, Im's obviously strong, but then the Holy Knights, Seraphim, CP0 goes to them. Like, they have their own, like, pacifistas, etc. They have their own sort of army for themselves, right? And the Marines and the Celestial Dragons have been, verbally, they've been labeled into two separate categories over the course of the story, particularly over the last several arcs, starting from Reverie. It's mentioned through Wano. Like, even Orochi is talking about, like, the Marines, Celestial Dragons, I don't fear either of them, stuff like that. Like, they're being made more distinct as the story has gone on. And we're seeing, like, more complexity to the Marines, like, between Kizaru, Fujitora, Sword, Kobe, all of this stuff, Sengoku. Like, the higher-ups of the Marines are very complex in terms of their views and everything like that. And Akainu disagrees with what a lot of the Gorosei do, right? There's more complexity there. And then the Celestial Dragons are just the terrible big bads. So, if there's a trigger for these two parties to just separate entirely, Vegapunk's message could really, really, really be it. And, like, it would be so perfect for the fight. Like, imagine how sick that would be if the Marines and the Celestial Dragons straight up separated. That would be amazing. Like, think about that. Like, it would make the Battle Royale so much more hype. So much. I do think Akainu's a villain. Like, I think he'll be, like, I'm not saying the Marines just become good guys. I've said before, I think the Strahds fighting the Marines is important, but it feels like a separate conflict, defeating the Marines versus defeating the Celestial Dragons. So I feel like Marines being their own enemy entity, because they're not good guys now, but I feel like Akainu has his own vision of justice for the world that would not fit with the idea of Imu ruling everything, right? Celestial Dragons as villains, Marines as villains, Blackbeard Pirates as primary villains. I think that'd be really, really interesting. Like that a lot. Let's get the stream likes up to 500 real quick. JP, great stuff, man. I like that. I love that idea. The Outback Pandas, thanks for the 5. Last time we saw Kuzan, he was hiding his tears for Garp. Now, presumably, Borsalino is crying for Vegapunk. Which admiral is crying next? Green Bull, just because he's gonna have a PTSD nightmare about Shanks. I feel like Green Bull probably cries on the regular just through PTSD from that incident. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Akainu's got room for some character stuff. I don't know if I could imagine Akainu crying over anything. Yeah, like, I think we're kind of already dealing with the more morally conflicted admirals, like Aokiji, Kizaru. Fujitora, he knows where he stands. He's not morally conflicted, right? Green Bull, opposite, right? Bunfagum, thanks for the 5. Morj and Freeman, we know that that Vice Admirals are heading towards Bonnie's group. Do you think Oda will finally have Kuma fight, dying in the process? I think Kuma has to, like, to me, Kuma making a sacrifice, especially for his daughter or for Luffy, would be really, really good for a way to go out. Miss Meinstein's Evil says, work done for Dragon. He doesn't even have to do anything, lol. Dude, Dragon, yeah, like, thanks to Luffy and his shenanigans, so much of Dragon's work is just being done for him. Fuck, where was that? Yeah, I don't know if, like, I do think Kuma fighting will be important, but I feel like more so, just a sacrifice. Kuma sacrificing himself in some way. I think that should happen by the end of this. The practical one, thanks for the 10. Dragon still hasn't done anything besides look east. He barely even reacted to what is essentially confirmation that he lost another friend. I'm really starting to wonder what his role is. How tight are Dragon and Vegapunk, though? Like, I feel like people have ascribed so many character expectations of how Dragon should feel about incidents just based on the way that Luffy is, the way that Shanks is, the way that Whitebeard, the way that, like, a lot of other pirates are. But Dragon's not, like, he's a revolutionary. He's a it's different. I don't think Dragon was even established to be tight friends with Vegapunk. If you go back and read their Ohara, interaction, it was just like, it was terse above all else. It was terse. Like, they're two people who are both, like, fighting for something. They seem to respect one another, but it's not like they're fucking Nakama. Like, it's just bizarre. I think Luffy considers Vegapunk a better friend than Dragon does. I think that's entirely possible. I think there's mutual respect there. We know that Shaka was talking to, or like Vegapunk or whoever was talking to Dragon at the beginning of the arc. That doesn't mean that Dragon's like, I don't think there's any, like maybe there's some emotional connection there. Maybe Dragon will feel bad, but, like, dude, like, where did this fantasy come from that, like, Dragon is like Luffy and he probably feel like he should have a bleeding heart and really be in tears that Vegapunk died. Why should Dragon even give a shit? If anything, Dragon might give a shit more so that like the ramifications, like world ramifications, like what could happen, like the reveals and everything like that. I'm sure Dragon will care about that, but I don't know. It's same with the Ginny stuff. It's just like Dragon didn't go after Ginny. It's like when are they? What are the panels that show that they're even close? Isn't she just a commander in his army, as far as we know? Like, where is it shown that they're tight? I don't get it. It's like I really don't get the Dragon slander. Because it's ascribing random expectations based on how Luffy works or Shanks works or Whitebeard works. It's like, no, there's a reason this motherfucker is like in a totally different life path and priorities, you know? He's a fucking revolutionary. It was shown that Dragon is friends with Kuma though. Like they were like that was established during Kuma's flashback. He was clearly close with Kuma. Damien Wright says, Morj, that was 22 years ago. Vegapunk called Dragon when he thought he was going to die. They clearly have more of a connection. But calling him when he's going to die doesn't mean that it was like some heartfelt, like, you're my best friend type speech. It's more like I mean, we don't know what it was, but that's my point. Like, unless it's established that it's a friendship thing, Dragon's the fucking world leader and fighting against the world government. Kuma's out here working to also displace the world government. If Vegapunk thinks he's gonna die and he calls Dragon, that doesn't mean that they're fucking friends. That just means that we literally don't even know what it means till we get access to what that conversation was. But that does not mean in the slightest that they're actually like emotionally bonded to one another. I don't know. It's just weird assumptions that people make for no reason. Rodrigo Liaga says, come on, just a commander. I mean, was it established that they're close? Like, was it established that they're... Am I missing something? Was there some panels of Dragon and Ginny, like, bonding the way that Dragon and Kuma we saw? I don't think I'm missing anything there, but, like... Why would Dragon go to bat for, like, every single soldier in his army? Because that's never what the... Like, the Revolutionary Army has literally never been suggested to be about that. Like, not even once. I don't know. Like, when you join Whitebeard's crew, you're being welcomed into the family. I don't think it's ever suggested that the Revolutionary family is the same way, right? So if you harm one of Whitebeard's friends, then obviously he's gonna, like, one of his subordinates, obviously he goes to war for you. Shanks, same thing. Like, everybody that's being brought into his fleet, they're under his protection, he takes care of them, right? Luffy, same thing. We do not know how the Revolutionary Army fucking functions. It could be fucking closer to the Beast Pirates than the rest of, than the pirate crews we know, you know? We know that a lot of them consider each other friends, like, Sabo considers Kuma a friend, some of the commanders like each other and stuff like that. We don't know how Dragon considers the rest of them, right? And keep in mind, like, this is nothing new. As far as Dragon knew, like, Ivankov and Morley were fucking, like, trapped in Impel Down for years, being tortured to death. He didn't give a fuck about them either. Like, they had it just as bad as Ginny as far as he knew. Like, Ivankov, at the very least, as far as Dragon knew, had it as bad as Ginny. You know, Ivankov was being tortured in level 5, level 6 of Hell of Impel Down for like years. Like, that's not relevant to him, you know? Oh, let's get the stream likes up to 500 real quick. All right. Remix King, thanks for the 2. Anyone remember when York was the biggest threat? Oh my fucking god. That is so... I completely forgot where this arc started. I completely forgot where... The middle section of this arc where we had no idea how things were going to shape up or how big this incident was going to be, and we were being, like, pulled along in this, like, Mickey Mouse whodunit that lasted, like, 8 chapters and didn't really have any stakes. That was something else. Like, it is crazy that the arc turned into what it did. Taylor Russell, thanks a lot. It is my greatest hope of hopes that when Dory and Brogy finally catch up to Luffy, he's still in Gear 5 Giant mode, and they high-five. Dopest shit I can imagine. It's the little things. That would be really cool. Imagine Luffy doing like an Elbaf cannon like they do. Bahanor, thanks a lot. Egghead really escalated from Zo-like 20 chapter arc to Stall Eldritch Horrors. I've never known how to pronounce this. Eldritch, is it Eldritch Eldritch abominations, Eldritch abominations, Eldritch, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Stall Eldritch horrors, Gorosei as dying Vegapunk is revealing Void Century lore. I love it. Dude, this arc has, much like Sabaody, this arc has spiraled way beyond imagination. Like, this is batshit crazy. I like, the way this arc scaled was essentially, like, again, we thought it was going to be a shortish arc, and we were initially just excited that we're finding out Vegapunk. We assumed we'd find out about lore, information, right? That was what we were excited about initially, okay? Then, partway through the arc, it's like, okay, Lucci's coming over. And you guys remember this shit? Like, Lucci's coming over, and we were kind of like, this is cool. Like, people were excited when Lucci was revealed to be coming. Like, not super excited, but it was kind of like, okay, this is like, this is cool. This is a throwback. There's going to be some villains in this arc. Because a lot of people thought that there would be no action even. Like, a lot of people felt like it would be like Zoe. Partly it was also, yeah, like, we were getting action sequences outside, like Blackbeard versus Law, so it's like, maybe that's where the action will be. So it's like, okay, we're going to get a little bit of action. We're getting Lucci. And then the Lucci incident goes down, and then it's like, okay, wait, things are kicking up a notch. They're actually sending the admirals. They're sending Kizaru and vice admirals. Holy shit, Kizaru and vice admirals. Nobody thought that Luffy would be fighting an admiral this arc, going into it. So that was exciting on its own, when they're sending in Kizaru and vice admirals, right? And then on the other hand, you got Lucci and Seraphim. That was exciting. That was a cool setup. That alone, like, just if you're thinking back, I remember the community hubbub around that time. That alone seemed like an exciting prospect, more than people ever expected Egghead Island. It was like, holy shit, the scale's really going up. We're going to fight Kizaru, vice admirals, like a Buster Call. We're going to get Luffy versus an admiral. That's what people were hyped about for a bit. And then we find out that Saturn is strong. Saturn transforms. And it's like, holy shit, there was someone stronger than Kizaru heading to us. That's insane. Kizaru's not even the big bad. Like, Luffy's going to fight someone stronger than an admiral. And now it's like, it's like there's 5 Saturns, and Kizaru's still there, and Lucci's still there, and all these fucking vice admirals are still there. It kept snowballing and blowing up, and just like the amount that Oda held back what's actually going to be the final conflict of the arc is just fucking mind blowing. Like if you could just talk to your past self, like. When I found out Kizaru was showing up, I was like, man, I wish I could tell my past self that, like, fuck, an admiral's going to be showing up at this arc. I would have been more excited for this arc. When Saturn transformed, I was like, man, my past self would have been so shocked to think that there was someone stronger than an admiral that's going to be fought this arc. And now I'm just like, holy shit, like, we're throwing the kitchen sink, everything, the bathtub, everything at this arc. Like, fuck Saturn. We're quintupling down on Saturn. We're fighting 5 Saturns. And Kizaru's still here. Yusuf says Luffy versus Kizaru was shit, though. Yeah, I agree that the fight was... I wouldn't say shit, but I agree that the fight didn't live up to the hype behind it. But I'm saying heading into it, everyone was excited that Luffy's going to fight an admiral, right? When we found out Kizaru's being sent to the island, everyone was excited. I would say that Luffy versus Kizaru not being that crazy at the end of the day, like, it was a forgettable fight. It's an okay fight. Forgettable fight, fun fight, kind of. But I would say that being not that exciting at the end of the day was simply because it's a warm-up fight for the arc. Like, it wasn't supposed to be that big of a deal. Like, ultimately, Luffy versus an admiral shouldn't be a competition now, is basically what we're being told. Like, Luffy versus Kizaru wasn't that exciting, because if Luffy actually tries, he's out of this dude's league, you know? Throw 6 Kizarus at him. Let's see what happens. That's basically where we're at right now. Ishan Nazir, thank you for the 10. Normally watch your VODs, but first time catching you live. I'm seeing this in Great British Pounds, so again, we got another European viewer. So happy to be seeing so many European people in chat. I guess everybody can kind of, yeah, people who normally don't get to. Check it out. Your analysis is a big reason why One Piece is my favorite manga. Thank you. I'm always happy to hear, like, if I'm able to actually help enhance people's enjoyment of the series. That's always fun to hear. Lucky Man, thanks for the 5. Morj, are you worried about power creeping here? Feels like we're dealing with Edo Tensei with the infinite regeneration. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that Saturn's power is like I'm not thinking Saturn's power is some broke power or anything. Like, to me, it's like Saturn needs this regeneration to be able to keep up with Luffy. So I'm not viewing Saturn's power as that broke just yet. It is obviously pretty crazy what he's able to do regeneration-wise, but I always, like, if you're outmatched in the fight itself, then the regeneration aspect is more so a very tricky, inconvenient thing to deal with, rather than like oh no, Saturn's too I don't get the sense that Saturn's too powerful for Luffy, or that Saturn's like more powerful than like Kaido or something like that, you know? Um, just difficult, more like tricky and hard to put down than, you know, I mean, like we dealt with this earlier in the arc, like the fucking Seraphim are hard to put down and damage. Obviously Saturn's stronger than the Seraphim, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like I don't think this makes Saturn too strong. Like I don't think it's power creeping in that sense. Luffy, on the other hand, what he did this chapter, nobody else has done anything like this in the entirety of One Piece. You could say power creep is happening there, but I also think it's just like we're in the final saga. It's time to start opening up our minds to just how high the ceiling will actually go, you know, as Kaido would say. Because Imu's going to be on a totally another level, right? We can imagine that Imu likely is stronger than all 5 of the Gorosei, right? Just based on past experience with One Piece villains. Oh, fuck. What's going on? Hello. Fine now? What I was talking about was power creep. Yeah, I mean, like, just imagine this. Imu is most likely stronger than all 5 Gorosei, right? Think about that. However strong the Gorosei each are individually, Imu is most likely stronger than all 5 Gorosei. That's generally how these sort of things are with, like, One Piece villains. Like, Doflamingo is strong, like, just in general. Like, let's backtrack here, right? Kaido versus King, Queen, and Jack. Kaido would destroy King, Queen, and Jack. It would be a fucking massacre, right? Big Mom versus her Sweet Commanders. Yeah, Big Mom would destroy her Sweet Commanders, right? Doflamingo versus his seats. Yeah, Doflamingo would destroy his seats. Like, fucking Law could one-shot Virgo, you know? Crocodile versus Baroque Works members. Yeah, Crocodile runs the gauntlet effortlessly. Enel versus his priests, you know? Done. Lucci versus... I think Lucci might have some trouble against Kaku and Jabura, and, like... I still think... I don't know. That's whatever. But you get what I'm saying. Like, usually the boss, like, Arlong versus his subordinates, there's a big gap, right? So, like, just think about that. Like, how strong the Gorosei are right now, it's giving us an idea of how strong Im's going to be. Because I don't imagine that Luffy can handle all 5 Gorosei. And most likely the boss, Imu, is going to be stronger than all 5 Gorosei. Right? Think about it like that. Yeah, and in order for Luffy to become Pirate King, bring Dawn of the World, etc., by the end of the story, like, it's giving an idea of how high the ceiling of the story is. It is pretty fucking insane. Blackbeard, I think, he needs to catch up, but Blackbeard is a character that is primed to catch up because he can eat more fruits. He has the Yami Yami no Mi, which we don't know the full potential of yet. Yami Yami no Mi is an effective counter, most likely, to Luffy's fruit, especially maybe Awakening would just allow him to cancel Devil Fruit effects in the area or something. That's probably too speculative, but I do think Blackbeard was given the Yami Yami no Mi, which has the ability to cancel out Devil Fruit abilities for a reason, which is to help counteract Luffy's own broken fruit, right? Yeah, Spannum is technically the boss. JD says, does Luffy beat Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei? At this moment in time, right? At this moment in time, I could not possibly offer an argument otherwise. I would love to see that change. I would love to see Zoro, Sanji showing things in the next few chapters that suggest that, yeah, they can still, like, together, they could still give Luffy a run for his money or something. But I don't think Zoro and Sanji are stronger than admirals right now. And Luffy is manhandling 2 admiral level characters at this moment in time. There's no argument that I could reasonably, unbiasedly make right now based on things that Zoro and Sanji have shown to say that Luffy and Jinbei's no factor. He's literally not a factor, right? There's nothing I could say, like, what am I supposed to say? Like, what the fuck would they do that's, like, Kizaru and, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, just look at this chapter. How can you possibly argue that Zoro and Sanji and Jinbei could handle Luffy right now, you know? Yeah. I would love to see that change down the line, because I do think that Luffy's commanders have always been much stronger than, like, his opponent's subordinates, you know? So, like, whereas the gap... Because usually the way fights against opponents go is, like, Luffy versus the boss is, like, very close and contentious, and there's, like, lots of context involved. But Zoro and Sanji tend to clean up their fights easier than Luffy, right? Like, once Zoro got his power up, when Sanji got his power up, they both stomped King and Queen. You can kind of go back through the story, right? Like, Zoro and Sanji, like, once they got their power ups, they stomped Kaku and Jaibura. Whereas Luffy goes like high diff with Lucci. Like, they're much stronger than their opponents in Arlong Park, right? So historically, yeah, like on the villain side, the boss is like way stronger than the commanders. Whereas on the hero side, it's like Zoro and Sanji are closer to Luffy than other groups' subordinates usually are to their bosses. But at this moment in time, it does not feel that way. At this moment in time, it feels like the gap is as big as it's ever been. Probably bigger than it's ever been. Unless Zoro and Sanji are able to show stuff by the end of this arc, right? There's still the opportunity for that. I'm crossing my fingers for that. I just can't put together a coherent argument for why that would be the case of them being close right now. You know, all we can do is hope. Let's just hope. Matthias says Luffy's a damn Yonko. I don't even, like, to me it's like not even like Luffy's a damn Yonko. Big Mom could not do this to Kizaru and Saturn. Kaido could not do this to Kizaru and Saturn. Nobody else, like Whitebeard at Marineford could not do this to like Kizaru and another admiral at the same time. Every admiral at Marineford was giving Whitebeard trouble. I'm not saying Whitebeard would have lost to each admiral at Marineford. He's still like, I'm just saying it was like they were like he wasn't like manhandling them, low diffing them 2 at a time like Luffy is right now. What Luffy is doing right now is not comparable to anything any other Yonko has done so far. So it's not even like people are talking about like Yonko versus Admirals. This is not a Yonko versus Admirals discussion. Blackbeard could not do this to Kizaru and Saturn right now. Blackbeard fucking struck, like he had more difficulty fighting Law 1v1 than Luffy is having right now fighting 2 admirals at the same time. Right? This is not a Yonko versus Admirals thing. Luffy is in his own category. He is not a standard Yonko. This is Joy Boy reincarnated. This is the dude that is going to bring the dawn of the world. This is something else. There's no other character like Luffy. I'm not saying he's like top 2 in the world or anything like that right now. I'm just saying right now, we have literally, like, this is not representative of what average Yonko level means anymore. We don't know where he scales to right now. We literally don't know. All right? We literally don't know. Kaido can? You think Kaido can low diff 2 admirals at the same time? Because if you go look at the rooftop fights, there's no evidence that suggests that. Like, there's nothing. Like, just look at Big Mom versus Kid and Law, and that should tell you that Kaido cannot do that to 2 admirals at the same time. Because Big Mom, again, Oda made it very clear, Kaido and Big Mom scale to each other. They fought for a full day, night, whatever. Went exactly even during that period of time. Fought to a draw. Is Kaido probably ultimately slightly stronger? Yes. But we know for a fact Kaido and Big Mom are meant to be, in the story, perceived as roughly equal to each other. Right? There's even comments like, okay, it's like there's 2 Kaidos and stuff like that when they're fighting them on the rooftop, right? They're supposed to be roughly equal. Big Mom goes high diff against Kid and Law. Luffy low diffing 2 admirals. Kaido and Big Mom cannot do that based on anything that we've seen. There's no evidence to suggest that they could do this, what Luffy's doing right now. There's nothing in the story that suggests that. Nothing whatsoever. What is that based off? What would, like, Kaido destroys Saturn and Kizaru? When has Kaido ever done anything close to that? Like, these are 2 admiral level characters, right? Kaido and Big Mom together on the rooftop could not take out, like, all 5 Supernova. And the 5 Supernova, all of them are way weaker than admirals at that point in time. Yeah, he wasn't alone versus 5. He was with Big Mom. This is so bizarre. People try and ignore Big Mom anytime they bring up Kaido. Kaido and Big Mom are shown to be equal to each other. It was a 2v5. So it was Kaido and Big Mom together versus all 5 Supernova. And they couldn't put the Supernova down. And this was before all the Supernova started using their power-ups, like Awakenings, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, all of that stuff. Yusuf says Kaido doesn't lose to Kid and Law. No, I agree. Kaido would beat Kid and Law. Big Mom also didn't lose to Kid and Law. She lost to the TNT. But that's not the same as Luffy low diffing 2 characters that are way stronger than Kid and Law, right? Like, I agree, Kaido would probably ultimately beat Kid and Law, for sure. It would still be difficult for him. What Luffy's doing right now is not difficult for him. And he's doing it to 2 characters that are stronger, indisputably, than Kid and Law, right? Soul Killer says there's no evidence at all that Luffy's tanking 1% of the attacks of Kaido. I mean, Luffy's historically been very, very damage resilient, but that doesn't matter. It's not a competition about who can tank more. Luffy, if he can just effortlessly dispose of his enemies like this with zero difficulty, they can't even touch him, right? Like, what does it matter if they need to damage him or not? Or how much damage he takes? Icy Jim says, Kaido can push Gear 5th to extreme. There's your evidence right there. See, the thing is that that was Gear 5th Luffy the first time that he was using his ability. Day 1 Gear 5th Luffy, that was already severely, severely injured and was more injured than Kaido was. You got to go back and read. If you read that fight, it is established multiple times by Oda that Luffy is severely handicapped there and is more injured than Kaido in that moment because Luffy is literally, like, he just died and he's 1% away from death that entire section of the fight, right? That is stated multiple times throughout that fight. And Kaido's even like, how are you still fucking going? Like, how are you still, like, you're pretty much dead, dude. Like, how are you still doing this? That's established throughout the fight, right? I know Kaido himself was obviously injured, but you can't take away from the fact that Oda's making it very explicitly clear that as injured as Kaido is right now, you need to understand that Luffy is the one that is closer to death. So Kaido is fighting a Luffy who just caught Awakening, right? First time he's ever using it. He's taking it out on a fucking joyride, right? That's Luffy trying Gear 5th out for the first time on a joyride. He has zero experience using the form. It's Luffy with basically like clinging to life by like the tiniest of threads, right? He's barely alive that entire time he's fighting Kaido, and he still straight up overpowers him, right? Like, you know that Kaido cannot do this, what Luffy's doing right now to Saturn and Kizaru. Because we've already seen over the course of like the feats from Kaido and Big Mom in the rooftop in the Onigashima battle, they're not capable of that sort of thing. They could not, if they were, then the rooftop battle would have been over in like a chapter, you know? Zayn Ali says, why One Piece community hates Luffy and downplays him? I literally don't know. It's like, it's not that complicated. We've already seen comparisons, right? We've already seen Kaido and Big Mom roughly equal, right? Big Mom goes about high diff with Law and Kid. Luffy stomps 2 admirals at the same time. It's not comparable, right? There's nothing to suggest that Kaido and Big Mom could be doing what Luffy's doing right now. I don't know what the argument is to try and like why people are so obsessed. It's like, we're going for much bigger fish here, right? Like, Luffy's not going to be Yonko level, like, comparable to Yonko soon. He's going to be Pirate King level soon, if not already close to touching there, right? Pirate King, and then fucking Joy Boy, Jesus, savior of the entire world, inheritor of the will of D from 800 years ago. Like, it's a totally different level, right? I don't know what this obsession is with, like, people feeling like trying to downplay what he is all the time. Because, like, if you said what Luffy did this chapter, if you said any other character did it, people would have called you insane. Like, it's like, oh yeah, there's a chapter where like imagine some spoilers came out, it was like, there's a chapter where like Roger low diffs 2 admirals at the same time. He just fucking flattens them like pancakes and slaps them around at the same time. People would be going nuts and being like, holy shit, Roger, this is way beyond any other Yonko, like this is so totally different level or something like that. Like, people would be fucking creaming their pants, people would be calling it fake. Luffy just did something that most of the community did not think was possible for any character to do, period, right? So let's not underrate this. This is insane. Let the hype, let the excitement of where the story is going, where the main character is going, like just embrace it. Don't downplay it, you know? Goldie Ace says he's the GOAT man. Exactly. This is Joy Boy. This is like what the whole story's been building to. Why try and downplay it or like try and like contradict it, you know? It's an easy fight. I don't know anybody. Like, there were debates like, can Roger beat 2 admirals at once? Can Roger beat like 3 admirals at once or something? Luffy is like, these were debates back in the day. You know, like, these were like, it seems so absurd for a character to be able to do that to 2 admirals at the same time. Luffy can do it easily to 2 admirals at the same time. Easily. They need to call in fucking 4 more. Do you know how fucking insane that is? Like, this is fucking insane. I don't even know what to say. Oof says Emu being stronger than this is insane. Yeah, Emu is going to be stronger than all 5 Gorosei. That's why I don't think that the power creep's a problem. It's just like, yeah, this is the direction that we should go. Like, we're in the final storyline. This is the last storyline of One Piece. We should be in this sort of power range, basically, where like the final boss is stronger than all 5 Gorosei combined, etc., etc. All right. Bingle the Oop, thank you for the 20, man. Vegapunk's reason for the video stream could be patching into a live CCTV network where he can live stream the destruction of Egghead. The Gorosei might have just fucked themselves by turning into a Luffy versus Gorosei PPV. Yeah, I mean, like... And the Gorosei, like, this was talked about earlier by someone in the stream. Like, the Gorosei are the ones who are going to look like the bad guys just because, literally, they're going to look like demonic monsters during this fight. And they're going to be the ones destroying all the technology and everything like that. It's going to be interesting. Definitely agree. Reflexy, thanks a lot. Big Mom slander is crazy. Just ignore the Morj. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I slander Big Mom a lot too. But I'm just like, any slander that applies to Big Mom, you kind of got to apply it to Kaido too, because it's established that they're about even. Le Man says, I could see 11-11 being big for Zoro lol. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would be about time for him to actually do some stuff. Like, it would be cool. It would be cool. Nathan Searcy, thanks for the 5. What do you think of the 2 tiny panels next to Dragon's reaction? To me, it looks like Dragon may actually be on the move. I wouldn't want Dragon to show up here, but I think that with more Gorosei showing up, I think that there's a shot, because it's just like, how do you deal with all these Gorosei at the same time, man? I personally wouldn't care for Dragon showing up here, just because it's like, I feel like this is Luffy and the Straw, it's time to shine. But, you know, it's just hard to say. He could be moving, but at the same time, it's like, I think Oda uses those lines sometimes when he's just panning from panel to panel, so like location to location. Breezy2X, thanks for the 5. What's the best villain group in manga? Also, can you fight? You keep asking me that. I've not started taking the boxing lessons just yet. Again, maybe next week is when I'll be good to start. My cardio's pretty good now. So I think I could start. Best villain group in manga? I don't know. I have my, like, I think Akatsuki was a great villain group. I'm just not super invested in Naruto, and I wasn't super invested in Naruto for a long time, so, you know, they're very iconic for a reason. They're fucking, like, they're iconic to the point that even in my time in high school, which was the olden days, before anime was super mainstream, right? Even then, like, you would still see, like, weebs sometimes showing up with, like, Akatsuki clothing and stuff like that, right? So the Akatsuki are very iconic for sure. Best villain group is tricky though in general, because it's just like what do you even call, like, I think the Marines in One Piece are a phenomenal villain group from top to bottom, and like they're becoming more interesting the further the story goes, but are they really a villain group at the end of the day? I don't know. I think most One Piece villain groups tend to be too short-lived for them to fall into that category, outside of things like the Marines, you know, who are throughout the entirety of the story. But most One Piece villain groups, they go down in like an arc or so. So I'm going to take One Piece out of it. I do think you need stuff like Akatsuki or Espada that really last a good percentage of the story to really make a great impact. I don't know. I don't even know what you mean by best, because it's just like best written, I guess. Like, a lot of people love Hunter x Hunter's villains. I would think, I think Chimera Ants. But like, soft Hunter x Hunter. I love this new method. So I'm going to put up these 2 fingers. Once I'm done putting up those 2 fingers, the Hunter x Hunter spoilers are over. And it's not even be that spoilery. This is the new method. This is what I'm going to do to avoid spoiling people on anything in the future. All right, so 2-finger method. So with Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ants, it's just like, they're a villain group, but by the end, you don't really feel like they're a villain group. So to me, they're the best written cast of antagonists that I've read in a story, like a full ensemble cast of antagonists. But it just doesn't feel like they're antagonists by the end of that arc, you know? It's meant to be very murky, and like the lines are supposed to be blurred on both sides. Like by the end of the arc, you feel much more purity toward, like, in terms of like who Meruem is and what he became compared to who Gon is at this point and what Gon's become, right? Or at least what Gon's like character are, like, just opposite directions, obviously, and that's the point of it. So I would say, if we're saying broadly speaking antagonist groups, I would say Chimera Ants. But then in general, I don't know if they would even count. JP, thanks for the 10. If devil fruit spawn from dreams, is part of the reason the ancient kingdom's ideology is suppressed is to stop the literal potential dangerous manifestations of the ideology. I don't know if that's the case, because it's just like so many of these devil fruits, like they've just been around forever, right? So it's like they're already spawned. Like the Nika fruit already exists. I don't know if it's to stop the spawning of more devil fruits or anything like that necessarily. I'm not sure. I could see that being an argument, but all that stuff already exists. The homunculi? Phantom Troop, homunculi, like this is from Fullmetal Alchemist for those who don't know. I like the homunculi. I definitely don't think the homunculi are as well written as the Chimera Ants. I just think that, I think they're good. I think that they've got some shining stars and shining characters like Envy. I think they're definitely interesting. I just don't quite feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I think the homunculi are a good group. I'd say they're, yeah. Homunculi, I think that's a great answer, honestly. It's just, maybe for me, I don't think I would put them that high. Part of it is I also just don't put Fullmetal Alchemist that high, even though I've said this before, Fullmetal Alchemist is a really, really, really good series. I think it's one of those rare series that, one, ends well, like ties up everything well, like you're able to watch the full story from start to finish and feel like satisfied at the end of it. I think that's phenomenally rare, really fucking rare. Okay. I also think it's a series that has very few. It's not bad at anything. I don't think. Like if you were to rate it in categories across the board, like characters, themes, plot structure, build up, tension, stakes, etc., stuff like that, I would give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10 in almost in like everything except for art style. Like I think it's a series that's really good across the board. It has no real flaws, right? And there's no sections of the story that I think are bad. It just doesn't reach certain highs for me, like emotionally, dramatically, or anything. So I don't have a strong attachment to that series. So maybe that's why I don't think right off the bat of like homunculi being like, in general, I just don't think of characters from Fullmetal Alchemist that often, or like they don't really come to mind for me that often. That's maybe a more personal thing. I don't know. But yeah, still think it's a great series. Yeah, I'm getting the supers. If I actually miss one, so here's how you know if I've missed a super. If I say somebody's super that came after you, and I haven't said yours yet, that I've missed something. But I'm going in order. Said Ashik, thanks a lot. Kuma separates the Straw Hats to the places we've cut to. No, do not separate the Straw Hats. I hope the Straw Hats do not get separated. That would be insane. But that's. Good callback, though. OH and Smo. Is this Ornstein and Smo? No, I'm probably too Dark Souls pilled. OH and S. Thanks for the 5. Egghead is full callbacks to the Ohara incident. I mean, it's callbacks to a lot of shit. Ohara incident for sure. Saboti, yeah. Do you think Vegapunk's message will finally reveal the Ancient Kingdom's name? I would really love if Robin is able to do that sort of thing, personally. I would really like if Robin's able to do that sort of thing. Just me personally. I would prefer if Vegapunk's message is more so targeted at what the world government is doing today and the truth behind society, etc. today. And then Robin's is more history focused, like how did we get here? What was the story way back when? I also feel like that might make a bit more sense just because, like, if Vegapunk were to give a history lesson, like, here's what your government is like today and how it actually came to be, I feel like that shouldn't really matter. Right? Because 800 years is so fucking long ago. Because, like, the United States isn't even 800 years old, right? Like, if somebody were to come out today and be like, get this, everybody. This nation, it was founded on slavery. Shouldn't we all rebel against the world government? I'd be like, come on, like, it's just, it doesn't fucking matter for you today, right? The ancient history will be relevant to understanding how we got here and like the true origins of evil of the world government, but like for most civilizations, what the government did 800 years ago or how a nation came to be 800 years ago is completely irrelevant to how you would feel about it today, right? Again, obviously the United States is bad for like a million reasons today, but those are modern day reasons, right? Like, if you tell me, like, get this, Columbus and the fucking whoever, Mayflower people or whatever, like whoever they were, like they came over and like they killed all of the Native Americans and stuff like that, and then they took over this country. You're living on a country built on like murder and genocide and stuff. We already know that, and we still don't rebel against the world, like the U.S. government. We know it. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's really, really bad and terrible and wrong. But it's so many years ago. It's just not going to have any sort of effect on modern day society. You get what I'm saying? It's just the way that people fundamentally work. So that stuff's not that important to getting people to wake up. You know, like you could reveal to all the American people today. It's like, guess what? Even before the Native Americans, there was another civilization that was here in the United States, and we killed all of them too, and took over and presented ourselves as the good guys. You could tell us that, it would, like, we'd be shocked and maybe upset and stuff, and be like, man, the U.S. government were even worse than we thought. But like, it's 800 years ago. No one's gonna do anything about it, right? It's just the way it is. So I feel like it would make more sense to me if Vegapunk reveals stuff that is relevant today. Here's how the government is today. Here's what they're hiding from you today. Here's the stuff that they're doing in secret today. Here's the types of weapons they have today. Here's their plans for today for like a great cleansing or something. Here's what they did to Lucia Kingdom like yesterday. All of the today, like people ultimately will only care about the evils that are being done today. There's no one's going to do a fucking rebellion based on some shit that happened 800 years ago. So I would love if Vegapunk's reveals are all modern, and then Robin can give us the reveals lore-wise, because that goes into prophecies, what Luffy's supposed to do, what they need to do to free the world, stuff like that. So I think that would nicely mesh things together. So I hope we don't get too much actual lore from Vegapunk, because one, it just seems like irrelevant for what his goal would be, and two, I feel like it would trample on Robin's role, you know? Amartya Sinha, thanks for the 2. Will Blackbeard steal Luffy's fruits somehow? That'd be... Okay, I'm not going to talk about that whatsoever, because for me, that's a really, really interesting theory that I'm still kind of, like, putting pieces together for. So I actually have, like, a full document that exists for that, but I still don't know if that's... I'm not going to put that theory out till I feel like there's a couple more things that need to sort of click and make sense for me, basically. Like, how it would work. Because the biggest thing is, like, I think there's a million signs pointing to it, yes, fitting perfectly. But how could that possibly happen without Luffy dying is the biggest thing, right? I don't know how that would work. That's the biggest missing piece to that situation. Wisdom Minari, thanks for the 10. L plus Ratio plus No Mermaid plus Swamp Devil Fruit. Love this chapter. So excited about the future. What's the next big video topic? Not Wano. More Law and Kid slander, please. 3 billion bounty frauds. Law and Kid are fucking... Like, do you know how fucking stupid it is? How fucking insane it is that Law and Kid and Killer, who just got one-shotted by Shanks, they have the same bounty as that man. They have the same bounty as Luffy, who is currently no diffing an Admiral and a Gorosei, and doing so well to the point that the Gorosei needed to call in all 5 of the Gorosei just to deal with him. Like, it is insane. Because I think Kizaru solo beats Kid and Law, personally. I think Kizaru solo beats Kid and Law. Like, come on. Like, what the fuck is Law gonna do against someone who travels at the speed of light? Like, does he even have did Kid ever learn observation haki? Did anyone ever teach him? I don't know about that. Like, I think Kizaru could take Kid and Law. Personally. And Luffy, like, come on now. As for the next big video topic, I mean, in my opinion, each big video topic is a big video topic. But next week's video is a theory on the Gorosei, so just stay tuned for that. And thanks for the support, man. All right, let me see. Maybe I did miss. Did I miss Stephen Green's super? I did. Oh, I did miss yours. The reason I missed... Oh, fuck. Fuck, I missed several. Okay, hold on. I missed several. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me catch these. Let me catch this batch. Don Quixote do Flamingo, thanks a lot. Morj, what's something you want to see happen right now in the story, but you know probably won't because of how Oda writes the story? So if I was a cynical person, I would say Kuma dying. But I believe that Oda will have Kuma die. I believe. As for something happening right now in the story, it would be the rest of the Straw Hats being relevant. Not Zoro and Sanji, I could still see them making a difference this arc, but I feel like the rest of the Straw Hats won't get anything significant to do in the rest of Egghead Island, even in this climax that we're in. I would love to be proven wrong, because you know what? There was a time that I would never have said this. There was a time that I'd be like, yeah, of course, all the Straw Hats are going to be relevant by the end of this arc, or at least most of them. So that's what I would hope for the most. For the mid and lower tier Straw Hats in strength to be relevant this arc. Octillery Knight, thanks for the 5. Hey Morj, hope all is well. I'm super excited to see how the anime does this chapter. All the Gorosei getting summoned looks menacing. You know what? We might go back to a trend of me watching the well-animated episodes that have cool action sequences, because I had a lot of fun watching the Blackbeard versus Law fight. That was so much fun to watch in the anime. So let's wait and see. Yeah, the anime gets to go nuts this arc. They get a lot of fun material to work with. Reflexy, thanks a lot. Chance of showcasing an elder is above a Yonko. I mean, there's not really any way to, like, the tricky thing that I always say is a little different. Like, I think it would have been good to show just once, even a brief interaction between Kaido and Big Mom, and some other top tier, just to, like, or not top, like, either show us against another admiral or show us against another Yonko or something. Show us a glimpse of that, so we get a bit of an idea of how we should view them in relationship to everything else. Because at the end of the day, Kaido and Big Mom at Onigashima, the only characters we get to see them fight against are each other, to kind of establish they're basically equals, or roughly around the same level. They fight each other, and then they're fighting these up-and-coming supernovas. And it's messy because it's like team fights first, like 5v2, and then it gets into like, okay, well, they're in the process of growing and like blossoming and stuff like that. Like they're unlocking awakenings, they're unlocking, like, Luffy's unlocking advanced conquerors haki, Zoro's tapping into Ashura for the first time. So everything that happened in Wano, it makes it very difficult to ever scale Kaido and Big Mom from here, because it's like, it's just there were so many moving variables in that arc, you know? So many moving variables. It's like, one day if we see Zoro and Ashura fighting Mihawk, right? It's like, okay, Ashura Zoro scarred Kaido. That's pretty cool. So now we get to see him against Mihawk. Maybe this gives us an idea of how strong Mihawk is, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but like, how does this really tell us how Mihawk would do against Kaido? You get what I'm saying? Like, because the circumstances are just so weird. Like, Zoro was very injured right there, and he didn't really know how to use Advanced Conquerors haki when he did that against Kaido. But it's also like, well, maybe Kaido would have done something different if he realized that Zoro could, like, was that strong in that moment or something. Like, maybe Kaido was kind of taken by surprise. Like, you know what I mean? So, I know that's not exactly... So, like, what I'm trying to say here is, like, showcasing an elder is above a Yonko. I don't even view Luffy as a good representation of a Yonko at this point, because the shit that Luffy's capable of doing is just so wild. It's hard to compare to anything else. He's not as good at haki as Kaido and Big Mom, I don't believe. Like, it seemed as though, no matter how you spin it, Kaido was still better at haki than Luffy, right? But his Devil Fruit abilities are so insane. So whatever Saturn does against Luffy here, I don't really know how I would scale it against Kaido and Big Mom. Like, and then Shanks, we never really got to see him interact with Kaido or Big Mom either. So it's like, we got to see him stomp Kid and Killer, but, you know, it's just, like, what Yonko means here, like I think Blackbeard would do a lot worse than, like, Luffy's doing right now, for sure, right? I don't know how Kaido and Big Mom would do. I don't think they'd do as well as Luffy is doing right now, as I explained earlier. Like, there's just no evidence to suggest that, but it's true, like, things became really murky with what Luffy did this last chapter, because this chapter is just unprecedented in terms of what Luffy just did. Kid Smitty94, thanks for the 2. Does Cootie Burst even get them away anymore? It should, right? It's Cootie Burst. Come on, it makes them, it launches them a mile, right? K Maya, thanks a lot. Yarn Cooks has to be Oda parodying the 4 Iron Chefs. I didn't even know there's 4 Iron Chefs. That's funny. I thought it's just Oda's way of parodying the 4 Emperors, but I don't know what the 4 Iron Chefs are. Ace Barnes, thanks for the 5. Love your stuff. Odds on Imu appearing to take down Laboratorium right before 10 minutes are up if the Gorosei are failing. Okay, I don't think Imu necessarily shows up, but there is something that I think he could attempt that plays into what I think Kizaru might... I've said too much already. I don't think Imu will show up necessarily, but it would be really cool if he did, because it could allow Luffy to get one glimpse of Imu and, like, one minor interaction that helps set up for their future battle. Stefan Green, thanks for the 10. And I'm sorry it took so long to get to yours. I just didn't realize I missed this whole batch of supers. I've been saying for the longest that Zoro won't defeat Lucci till 11/11 because Zoro's birthday is 11/11 and his bounty is 1 billion. Okay, yeah, 1,100,000,000 and 11. And Oda loves stuff like that. After that, Oda lets him loose, in my opinion. I think that would be cool if Zoro gets like a moment in chapter 11/11, like getting past Lucci and then having a big debut in the bigger battle against Gorosei and Kizaru. I think that would be cool. And I could definitely see that Oda does like doing his number stuff when it's easily fittable into what's going on, right? Like when he has an opportunity to do so. All right. Still catching up on supers. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. Kaido's drunken style may have slightly influenced Luffy's Gear 5th based on mood swings they both have. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Goldies, thanks for the 5. If Saturn wasn't immortal, this would be one of the craziest feats we've seen someone could have in the story. Oh, you're saying if Luffy had just defeated him, like defeated them both right here? Or are you saying if Saturn just naturally tanked the attack and came back? I mean, both ways it makes sense. But yeah, if like Saturn basically took the same damage that Kizaru did, like again, they're both lucky that Kizaru's lucky that there was a ship there, right? So otherwise, if there's no ship, Kizaru just loses. As for Saturn, yeah, again, if Saturn wasn't immortal, then it's possible Saturn would have lost right there too. So it's hard to say. I mean, but the immortality is part of why Saturn's so strong. So it's kind of like you can't take away Marco's regeneration from him. Otherwise, that's like part of the point. Said Ashik, thanks a lot. Do you watch UFC? If so, favorite fighter? I do not watch UFC. I'm sorry. A lot of people have been like, people mentioned that some time back, but I'm just not into UFC. Maybe I'll watch it at some point. Patty G, thanks for the 5. The truth of the world isn't about that. It's the fact that the entire current government is a lie since someone sits on the empty throne. Keep Morjin. Yeah, I'm fine with Vegapunk revealing that. What I mean is, like, just reveal the state of the world today. Sorry. If Vegapunk reveals the state of the world today, and that someone is sitting on the throne, that's a big deal, right? Going back in time and explaining, like, there was this ancient kingdom, and this should happen in the ancient kingdom, and then the world government, and then that's why the world government's actually evil and stuff, or originates from an evil place. I think that stuff is better saved for down the line, right? Like, I think Emu today actually existing as a tyrant, that's a big thing. Like, reveal stuff about the state of the world today. The way the world government is, what they're trying to do, weapons they have, the way they abuse the weapons, the Lucia Kingdom, stuff like that. Reveal that stuff. JWP, thanks for the 5. I feel like the whole point of the Lucia Kingdom's destruction was for Vegapunk's message. Also, Vegapunk could phrase his message as an apology to the world. Yeah, because destroying the Lucia Kingdom is the perfect fuel for, like, Vegapunk revealing what the world government does. And it would be a good way to apologize because Vegapunk's just Oppenheimer. He's just Oppenheimer. He's just Oppenheimer, man. He's just Oppenheimer. Living with regret for the weapons that he created because he didn't know that they would be used this way. I mean, Oppenheimer knew, but, like, it's just the Oppenheimer story. What great timing by Oda. Angel Rees, thanks for the 10. When Vegapunk dies and Frankie's like, he was like a father to me. Oh my god, it's just like man, we never got any good Frankie Vegapunk interactions, man. We just didn't. Tom, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, I didn't get the notification for stream, but it's my birthday. Hey, happy birthday, man. You're 20 years old, so I'm glad I can catch the stream at all. Yeah, happy birthday. Hope I'm making your birthday, giving you some midday entertainment. Read One Piece for all my teen years. Yeah, One Piece was a very formative series for me, too, because I read it when I was in elementary school, took a break not read it, watched it on Cartoon Network when I was in elementary, then started watching again in middle school, through YouTube stuff, basically, and then became a reader, and I've been reading, since my teen years, obviously. I think, I was a teenager when I started reading, but I've been watching from even before that. The Black Blur, thanks for the 5. How would you feel if Bonnie tells S Bear to turn Kuma's memories inside of Bonnie into a bubble and give it to S Bear, thus bringing Kuma back from the dead? Bonnie tells S Bear to turn Kuma's memories inside of Bonnie into a bubble. Turn Kuma... Oh, I see. Like, because Bonnie has Kuma's memories inside of her. So it's like giving Kuma's memories back. Oh my... I don't... As long as Kuma dies, I might be cool with that sort of thing. I don't want to think about that too much, because it's just... I feel the sacrifice is so important. I feel like there needs to be some permanence to the things that happen with Kuma. I don't want to think about that too much, but... Yeah. GDN... Oh, no. Let me make sure. Hold on. Yeah, GDN, thanks for the 2. I think Kizaru will flip after Vegapunk's message. Yeah, I think that there's a decent chance of that happening. Definitely think there's a decent chance of that. Gerald Williams says there wasn't just a ship there. Luffy aimed at the ship. So merciful. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 600. I don't think Luffy cares that much about, like, killing or not killing characters. I think it's just naturally, like I don't think Luffy cares if Kaido lived or died, you know? Like, I don't think he necessarily intentionally tries to save characters. I don't think he's, like, holding back a certain level of force to not kill characters. But he's not going to go out of his way to kill characters, you know? At least that's my assumption. Wrench Dodger 2000 says, this is Luffy piece since we entered Wano, get with the program. I still believe there is room, just because of the way this battle is going, right? I feel like we still have room for Zoro and Sanji to shine, because it's just like Zoro, Sanji, and I would love for the rest of the Straws to shine in at least some sort of utility type way, like helping in some manner. Maybe not going toe-to-toe with the Gorosei, but just help in some way. Luffy should just eat Saturn. Yusuf says he has literally 0 kills, LMAO. I mean, depends. Do you guys think Kaido is dead? Do you think Kaido's dead? I don't know if Kaido's dead. Again, like, I don't think Luffy's... Like, when Luffy beat Lucci was lucky he landed on... Like, pre-time skip, not recently. Pre-time skip, Luffy beat Lucci. Lucci would have died if he fell into the sea. I don't think Luffy was, like, aiming to get Lucci onto a boat or anything, you know? I don't think Luffy's ever, like, intentionally trying to not kill. It just is... He just doesn't end up killing just through natural consequence of the way shit goes, you know? Umir Ula, thanks for the 5. First, what do you think happens next chapter with the Gorosei? I think the giant robot stays back to fight. Or Dorian Broggy. 2, cover story should be good. Yeah, like, the cover story, I would be, like, getting really excited about it, honestly. Because it's like, oh shit, like, we're going back to Wano, we're gonna find out what's going on with Onigashima. There were some loose ends in Wano, just with Pluton and everything like that, so maybe this could be about that. But the chapter itself was so exciting, it just hasn't been much of a topic of discussion. So, with the Gorosei, I think that Luffy is gonna need help no matter what. I do think that this is a big spot where the giant robot can come into play. I do agree, people brought that up early in stream. This would be really, really clutch if the giant robot could help out right now. Dorian Broggy, we could get a bit of a sense of how strong they actually are here, depending on if they're able to help at all with the Gorosei. Because if they can help at all with the Gorosei, then it's like, holy shit, Dorian Broggy are like Admiral level or something like that, which I personally didn't think would be the case. That guy says the men he threw off of any Slobby are dead. Nah, they could probably swim or some shit. Big Al, thanks for the 2. You think the Marine raid on Egghead is going to fail? I think they will fail to stop Vegapunk's message from playing. I will say that. Like, the Marines will stop that. LeBear with an actually interesting point, but it's probably not going to happen. LeBear said, since there's no Gorosei guarding Marishua, is it time for Dragon to move and we get Revs versus God Knights or Dragon versus Emu or Akainu? So, in theory, yes. In theory, that should be what happens. But I'm not going to... I'm not gonna count on on Dragon making his move right now. I don't know what opportunity he could find. Possibly that would be better. I literally cannot imagine a better opportunity than right now. I still don't know if Dragon's gonna make his move right now, if I'm being honest. I have no idea when would be a better time, but I'm gonna be honest, like, I would not put money down on Dragon. I don't know what the fuck he would be preparing for, if not for right now. Because not only are the Gorosei missing from Marishua, right? I believe if I go to chapter 1086, right? If I go to chapter 1086, fuck. I think it is stated that, where's this chapter? Come on. Let's see. Yeah, if we look at 1086, then... No, what the fuck? Where is it? 1080... Hello? Maybe 1084? Excuse me, guys. Technical difficulties right here. Where the fuck is Dragon talking about the, God damn it. Let's see. Oh, I know. 1083. Yeah. So Dragon says, if they mobilize the Holy Knights, that's where the fighting will start, right? So it sounds as though the Holy Knights probably wouldn't be at Marishua either. Because Dragon's explaining that they what do you call? Okay, so the successes that they had, right? They the supply lines have been cut to the world government. Supply lines have been cut. They've mobilized the Holy Knights. So it sounds as though the Holy Knights are probably being sent after the Revolutionary Army. Because the Holy Knights would just be assembled anyway, right? They should just exist at Marishua. So if the Gorosei are out of town, right? Gorosei aren't at Marishua. Holy Knights already assembled. Probably being sent after the revolutionaries. Then who the fuck's guarding Marishua, right? Wouldn't it just be like Kizaru's not even there, right? It's just Kainu. Green Bull might be carrying. It feels like a really good opportunity for Dragon to do something. So I don't know. He's too busy looking east. He ain't raiding Marishua. Yeah, I know Akainu's in the Holy Land, but like, you're never gonna get a time when nobody is there, right? Like, you're never gonna get a time where literally nobody is there. So if there's gonna be a time where Dragon's attacking, this has got to be like the lowest guarded Marishua has ever been. So I don't know. Like, if Dragon's literally like, okay, I'm sorry, Revolutionary Army, we literally cannot attack Marishua at all right now because there is still a Kainu there. It's like, okay, if you can't even do that, like, obviously a Kainu is supposed to be very, very strong, but it's just like, you gotta have some, like, what's the threshold then for attacking, right? Like, it's better than a Kainu plus Gorosei plus Holy Knights being there, right? To be fair, Dragon also has no idea how strong Emu is. But still, like, you gotta find out. Tom, thanks for the 5. Morj, you've inspired me to make One Piece YouTube videos. Oh, that's good to hear. Happy birthday. I'm happy that you decided to do this on your birthday. But I have no idea what to do after writing the script, i.e. editing, image finding, music / sound, etc. tips. Well, one, like, you don't have to do it exactly like I do it. Everybody needs editing, but, I mean, the way I do it is for, like, I don't edit it. I haven't edited the videos since, like, 2020, I don't think, or maybe 2019. You need to learn how to edit. You need to learn how to edit, man. So, like, that's just going to be a thing that you, like, watch how other people's videos kind of flow. Don't try and shoot for, like, too high of a bar right off the bat. Just get, like, something that's serviceable, basically. Yeah, just learn how to edit, get an editing software. Image finding, it's just how you want to present the video. So, like, images that you think happen to go along with it, or anime clips. If you get anime clips, keep them really short. Music and sound, you got to get music from places that are, like, copyright free. So there's resources for that. Royalty free, copyright free, or something like that. Yeah, you probably will have to sign up for a place where you're allowed to do that sort of thing. But yeah, you got to do that stuff. So sorry, but I don't know all of the, like, focus on script, sound, good mic, and everything like that. like all the small steps, right? So you need a good script, need a good mic, need to get good at speaking, right? Get decent at editing, figure out what you like to present in your videos. Is it images? Is it anime clips, etc.? And then music, you like background music, etc. You need to get from like a like there's copyright free sources that you can get it from. Oh yeah, Green Bull. Yeah, Green Bull, do we even count him? Green Bull I don't think even counts as defense. Alright guys. I'm gonna call stream in the next couple minutes. Let me just see if there's anything else. Looks like there's nothing else. Phantom Troop sits at the top of the... Well, Phantom Troop, if we're talking about villain groups, Phantom Troop is tricky, because, like, I don't feel like I don't feel like I know some of the Phantom Troop. Like, I think the Phantom Troop has a really interesting dynamic, and I'm not going to get into that because of spoilers and stuff like that. I think they've got a really interesting dynamic, and the angle that we kind of got for them and how they're presented in the York New arc, especially, and like just morally the angle that we presented with them, like it's very unique for villain groups, you know. So I like that for sure. I still think like a lot of them we don't know that well. Like I think in a lot of other villain groups, like how to explain this? Their internal dynamic is one of the most fascinating of any villain group, and kind of just as an ensemble, how they're presented and written, and the storyline for them, the themes with them and everything like that. I think that's great. I think a lot of them could stand to be much more fleshed out. When I think of the best villain groups, like I think a lot of the homunculi were better fleshed out even. Chimera Ants, obviously, individually fantastically fleshed out characters across most of them. Even Akatsuki, I think, same thing. And Phantom Troop, Crollo is probably the best character out of them for sure, and he is fairly fleshed out, relatively speaking. But I will say that this is quick spoilers. Spoilers till my fingers go down. All right. The recent flashback that we got for the Phantom Troop, wildly disappointing. Like beyond generic. I think it had a good start, and like I think that it was drawing me in, but kind of the big reveals of like the emotional moments of like, oh, this is really what changed them and stuff like it's the most cookie cutter shit imaginable, and we kind of skip over a lot of their actual like drastic change and development basically from it. Like it's just it was so cookie cutter and generic, it actually like made me a little less excited about them as a group, because I'm like, okay, it's not that deep. I don't know. Still like the Phantom Troop for sure, and I think they're one of the more interesting aspects of the current arc, but just not like I think the Chimera Ant arc, like Chimera Ants are much better. Virgil Hawkins, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 17 months, man. Always good to see you. What are the chances that the cover stories about Big Mom and Kaido deciding to open an underwater restaurant together? Oh, that'd be funny. Kaido can cover the drinks, Big Mom the food. That'd be funny. Choose your top 5 cartoon theme songs. What? Fuck. Can include 4Kids themes like Pokemon, One Piece, or Yu-Gi-Oh. In that case, Yu-Gi-Oh is easily first. Yu-Gi-Oh's opening theme song is fucking amazing. Then beyond that, shit, this is gonna be hard. This is a great question. Great question. Because there's so many good ones. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh is easily number 1. Pokemon's so played that, like, I get it's iconic. It's just so played that it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I should not count anime. Nah, I don't know. Like, Pokemon's good. Pokemon's obviously really good. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. I like, Teen Titans I liked. SpongeBob. Was Danny Phantom's theme song that good? I don't know. Ben 10's theme song was good. Fairly Odd Parents was really good theme song. Yeah, I think that's 5. If I rack my brains more, I don't know. I'm leaving One Piece out of it just because it's One Piece, you know. Like, obviously I love the One Piece theme song. the the 4Kids dub especially. Chillaxarita says Dark Continent hype is even worse than Phantom Troop. The shit doesn't exist until Togashi actually writes content for it. Quick Hunter x Hunter spoilers till my figures go down. Dark Continent, have such mixed feelings about because it's like I'm so insanely excited at the concept of what he might have cooked up for the Dark Continent, but I'm just like, he's introducing an arc where it's like about exploring a world that is vaster than the entirety of Hunter x Hunter so far, where in theory we're meeting like Chimera Ant type storylines, but just strewn all over the place. It just doesn't even make, like, how would he feasibly do that? You know, like, how would we in any sort of satisfying way get to explore this sort of world when the man can barely like release like 20 chapters at a time, like in a year? I just don't understand. It's just such a absurdly grandiose undertaking this late into the story and this late into what he can probably like actually feasibly finish, you know? Because in theory, like even just the fact that like it's like, oh well, everything we know of the Dark Continent, it only even covers like the east side of the continent or something, and not even the west. It's like, dude, like even if we cover, like, I forget which one, but like you know what I'm talking about. Like there's 2 books, right? It's like, even if we cover what we've been shown of the Dark Continent, it feels like that's just such a ridiculously vast storyline. I can't even imagine. And there's other stuff that needs to be completed, like Meteor City and Gyro. Like, I don't know. I'm super excited for the Dark Continent, but it's just like, it just seems like a dream thought of Togashi's at this point, practically, because I can't see him finishing this boat arc, which is so absurdly dense, and then getting to an arc that's going to be infinite, like, just blow everything else out of the water in terms of the length and depth of it, you know, the Dark Continent. Black Blair says, simple, he asked Oda to write the Dark Continent. I think Oda's writing style would be very, very different from Togashi's. Yeah, the concept is fantastic. All right, guys. All right, everybody. I'm gonna call the stream here. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this was a fantastic chapter. Fantastic chapter to go on break on. Nothing else to really say other than like, this is one of the coolest arc climaxes ever. Ending panel was amazing. Everything was like, I'm so on board for everything that's left for Egghead Island. Yeah. All right, guys. All right, everybody. I will talk to you all later. Peace.